Here, ready to watch the Overwatch 2 Dev PvP showcase. So they're gonna play some games on Overwatch 2, and we're gonna watch them play and see what's different, what's new, what's the same, and hopefully the game is reinvigorated with life, because Overwatch needs to be reinvigorated with life. In 3, 2, 1. Oh, I'm also joined by Starwin.
It's cool.
What's up, Starwin? Are you excited?
I am very excited.
Hello, everybody.
New game, new
Welcome
team.
to
Let's
the
see what's going
Overwatch 2
on.
Developer PvP
Toronto.
Livestream. I'm your host, Matt Mr. X, and
NYC.
Stream, I'll be joined by some awesome content.
Yeah, they showed the
creators
NYC
and developers
one.
from the
Oh, that's
Overwatch
Brazil.
team as we learn more about Overwatch 2's PvP.
Map
We're
looks
watching
huge.
some of these awesome maps in action, played live. It's going to
Of
be an
course, everyone's
extremely
home,
exciting
'cause
day. Aaron
we're
mentioned
still-
He's the new
the
face of
developer
Overwatch,
update.
right?
Everything you see
Is he the
today
new
is
dev?
work in
I think
progress.
so.
But you know,
Yeah, you
being
can put the
able
volume
to
up a
see
little
some of
bit
this
more.
stuff, day in and day out, it's truly awesome. Really excited for what the Overwatch team has to show for you guys today. So let's bring on some of my guests throughout the day. I'll be joined by the members of the Overwatch dev team. It's Associate Art Director Dion Rogers, Lead
Game
Hero
director right
Designer
there,
Jeff
Aaron
Goodman,
Keller.
and Game Director Aaron Keller. How you guys feeling today?
So much for having us.
Yeah, no, it's going to be exciting. Now, we've learned so much about the PvE aspect of Overwatch 2. And we've learned some stuff about, PvP, with push, role passives, new heroes. You saw Sojourn at BlizzCon Line. What else has gone into the development process for Overwatch 2's PvP?
You're right.
Look at
We've
these-
talked a
look at
lot
these
about
designs.
the
They're
story
like
side
refined,
of Overwatch 2 and the
versions of
cooperative
Velocity.
PvE experience that we've been working on. But the Overwatch team has also been
Bro,
hard at
NYC
work
map.
on the PvP
Yeah.
side of the game,
Representing.
making new features,
Fact.
new heroes, new maps, some of which we'll be playing today. And we've also been looking at the way PvP is played. It's changed over time on the live game. And
I swear to God, if they announce
For the
Battle
worst.
we'll
Royale.
talk about a lot of the changes
Swear to
that
God.
that we want to be making and that we're currently making to PvP. But there's one in particular that I want to highlight right now because it's substantial, and I think
Bastion?
it has a big impact on the way the entire team approaches PvP on Overwatch 2. And it's also something that we're all really
Roles?
excited about. Overwatch has always been played with 2 teams of 6 players.
Oh.
Overwatch 2 will be
No.
played with 2 teams of 5 players,
Oh.
consisting of 2 support, 2 DPS, and 1
tank.
tank.
Right, I mean, my next
Oh,
question was going to be
my
like, okay, is
God.
role queue still a thing? So we still have a breakdown across the board. It's not completely open. So
Changing
1 tank, 2
everything.
DPS, 2 supports.
That means
what
all these,
led you
E-League
guys
teams are gonna
down
fire
the road
somebody.
to make this change.
Yeah.
There are a lot of reasons for why we wanted to
Subs.
make this change.
Subs everywhere.
As I said earlier, Overwatch has changed over time. We've gone from having no
They've
hero
realized
limits
that
at
2
all
tanks
in
are
the
too
game
powerful.
before launch. You could pick 6 Winstons if you wanted to for your team composition, to having a hero limit. We ended up introducing a role lock over the course of the game, and we feel like this is the next step in the way that Overwatch ought to be played. If you think about it, there is a lot going on in an Overwatch map. It is incredibly fast-paced, and we have always tried to make our combat easy to read and very understandable. And even with all of the work that we put into that, sometimes it's just hard to track what 11 other players are doing on the
Bro,
battlefield.
I can't imagine how much
Removing
stress
2 of
that 1
those
tank gonna have.
simplifies everything.
Facts.
And it allows players
Yo,
to
this man gonna be
understand
the rock
everything
of
that's
the
happening
team.
around them and to be able to make better choices because of it. This change
Picking
obviously has a
characters
really
like
big
Diva
impact
and
on
Wrecking Ball are
tanks.
going to be a lot
And we will
harder
get
to
into
make.
some of the
Yeah,
changes
your
that
DPS
we're
now
making to
has
tanks
to-
and to some of the
one of
other
your DPS
some of
has
the
to
other
take
roles
secondary
in a
tank role.
bit. But
Yeah.
tanks
And you're also
can
going to have
be
to pocket that
problematic.
tank.
They're
Mhm.
a DPS hero is simple. They're shooting.
This forces
but
more
a tank
teamwork
has
now.
abilities
Yeah.
that
You can't
can
just
be
go
noisy,
in with Ryan and have a
or
mercy
when
behind you. And
stacked with
fucking,
other
oh, there you go. Look,
tanks, can
My
cause
man, Wrecking
problems
Ball.
for other teams to try to overcome and counter.
Look at this
and
UI.
a great example of that is 2 main tanks on the field. Sometimes
Ooh.
that can be very
you could go
oppressive
higher with
to
it now. Look at
another team.
this.
I think with five players out there, there is a greater chance of certain people being able to carry,
Ooh, right?
whether that's
Yo,
the tank
let
on the
me
team
see
or
that
some of the
again.
DPS. There's just one less player on the other team that you need to take care of, and
He's
each
the F1
player
driver
now.
now.
Has the opportunity
If you have just a
to have
hog,
a
man, that's
larger
gonna be rough.
individual impact
Yeah.
Hog is
on their own
basically
team.
DPS.
And we've tried a lot of different versions of this.
Our
It's
Matrix
gonna kick a lot of
Internally,
characters out of the meta.
4v4 format. We've tried 3 DPS, 2 support, 1 tank format. We even early on in Overwatch development, we tried a 7v7 format of the game. And we always
7v7.
had
Oh my
some
God.
problems with them. And this is the sort of thing that our lead hero designer, Jeff Goodman,
That's
has
3
really
healers
run
you could
with.
do.
And I think he probably has a little more he can say about it.
Yeah, you forgot about the 4 DPS, 1 tank, 1 healer we ran one time. That was
Right.
Oh my god.
You saw his face? He was like, oh, don't bring that up.
One playtest.
There's a reason why.
Swore we would never do it again.
almost cut out in the middle of that. But
never to be spoken about again. Yeah, Jeff. I assume that obviously changes to the tank role, but I assume there will be kind of like holistic changes overall, right? I think just changing
each
the
tank is
tanks,
probably gonna
you
get
probably
overhauled.
need to rework some of the other stuff that goes on.
oh yeah, I mean, this is gonna change.
Unless D was gonna start like deploying a shield.
that impacts
I don't really see how she's gonna work.
honestly. And that's the thing about sort of hero design and hero balance is like it's sort of easy in some sense. Honestly, it's easy, but it's certainly easier to make sort of a single hero change.
But I guess
and,
being able to pick
maybe
abilities.
even like a hero rework like we've done in the past.
Yeah,
But
that's
to
what I'm
change something
saying.
so
Like
fundamental
everybody's gonna
as,
get overhauled
there's only one tank
to
allowed.
fit this new
really
meta.
kind of cascades into a lot of different questions and problems that demand answers. So, I mean, the obvious thing that probably comes up in people's mind probably immediately when we say this is how does Roadhog work in a world where you could pick Reinhardt instead?
wild bugs.
Like, how is that? Is it,
We're
It's a bug
recording
thing.
and you just popped
so
up.
that's sort of our first question when we're doing it too. Like, we like this 5v5 thing. It was super fun when we play tested it. That has a lot of promise. But okay, we have to solve a lot of problems if we go this way. So that's sort of why it sort of has led to this larger set of changes. And there's a lot of other changes we'll talk about as well. But it definitely cascades. For example, healing. You can kind of focus on one tank now. And the tanks are even beefier than they are on live. The individual tanks, because this is one of them. So we're thinking, well, is it too good to just play like 2 main healers and dump healing in your tank? And is it too hard to kill now? And maybe healing is too good now? And it's.
But now you got to buff up damage.
But this
on
is the
your
time to
DPS.
do it. This is what we wanted to do with Overwatch 2: is look at core things like this and make sure that where we want them to be. And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I'm not a designer, but I think that like this is the first real opportunity you guys have had to reset. Like you couldn't just do this
Right.
on the live game, right? I think that's kind of like what
Can you
I
imagine
what I
they just
assume,
patch
right,
in
is that this is like a
shit in the
holistic
game.
look at the game overall and like changes that you couldn't do on live because they're just so massive.
Exactly, and like I said, there's other changes that go along with this as well that are also equally impactful. So it's
Probably
sort of like
a 20 gig
it
patch.
just like shook the ground underneath the game like really heavily, and like all the pieces are kind of in disarray a little bit. So some of the heroes won't even be playable really by our playtesters here because they're
Oh my
either
God.
heroes we're already kind of looking at heavily, or we plan on looking at heavily, so it's kind of not worth showing them in this context. Or
This
ones
game
we
is
haven't
so far
addressed yet,
away,
things
man.
like that. So
Mhm.
that just sort of gives you context of like how big this kind of change is.
I'm thinking summer of 20,
I want to get right
22.
into the game. I
yeah.
want to see it live. I'm sure the fans
Here we
want to
go.
see it live after getting all this like info. The first map we're going to be showing you guys today is New York City.
Yes.
Dion, what kind of map is this?
Best
New York
city.
is a hybrid map, so a brand new hybrid map for Overwatch 2, and there's a fun new payload for
that's
players to
interesting.
battle over. The world building team had a great time just creating this Overwatch depiction of New York. There's tons of neat details and fun
It's
Easter
not.
eggs for the players to
It's
find.
not New
So
York.
I think
they don't have the hood.
it should be fun to take a look at this.
Yeah, no, when you guys showed this at BlizzCon Line, I was so excited. Obviously,
The
Oh,
R
they got the R train.
myself would love to see the Midtown Tunnel go over some of the adjustments that you guys have.
Who are they
made,
gonna be playing
to
is the
it
question.
here in Overwatch 2.
Wait.
Just
You can go
just a
inside.
beautiful map.
The
I
4,
have to
5,
imagine
6.
this is one of the locales
Yo.
that you guys have been dying to do for a while.
We've been wanting to. There's a lot of people on the team from New York
Oh, this looks like a
have
plane.
spent some part of their life there, so it's
the
always been
future.
on the list, and Overwatch 2 felt like the right time to do it.
What does that say?
And
Jeff?
and no short of Easter eggs, I would say.
Is that an Easter egg
you
for
know,
the
on
last
some of these
director?
maps so far. You know, get some love at the beginning, but yeah, this will be our first real look at 5v5. I've had the opportunity to like kind of watch some games like as they've kind of tested it out. It still keeps that Overwatch, you know, fast-paced feel, but it doesn't have like the, you know, kind of the clumped up chaos that you sometimes see of live. I think it kind of speaks to really what you were pointing to, Jeff, is that, you know, when you have, you know, that one less tank in the equation, you can actually make the tanks more aggressive and more offensive. But it's also just kind of easier for the viewer and just people at home to track.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll see probably a lot of play here. One of the biggest things you'll notice, because there's less protection coming from tank
back
players
gonna hurt
just
less
to
from
directly
that
block
carry.
bullets for their team. Typically, you will find a lot more play around the map corners, map angles.
Here we go.
I like
Often
that.
people going for
Here we go.
cheeky
We got
flanks and
Ash.
stuff. Yeah,
We got
yeah,
Ash.
They get to use their
Let's
armor
do
a lot
this.
more. It's a bit more tactical. Yeah.
This is the content I was
Exactly.
looking for.
So it kind of, you know, that was one of the first things that came out of our original playtesting, and we were just like, this is a really good direction. I mean, like I mentioned,
All right,
there's
so their
like,
defense
you
team
know,
one
as
is
a
defense.
designer, you sort of have to look past the immediate like problems in front of you and like, okay, we could fix those. Like,
Fire
I
truck.
think we can address you know,
Winston
some
on
of the like
defense.
tank imbalances and healing issues and all
No,
kinds
Winston's
of
on
stuff.
attack.
Oh,
At the heart of this, which is really cool, and so that's really what we've been focusing on and working through these problems.
I think something that's really interesting about that too is
JJ's mini
the
bar.
gameplay is more fluid than it was before.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times in Overwatch you get
What is this map
these,
though? What is
these
it? Like,
really
is it
hard
a-
battle
Oh, no,
lines
they
that,
came out
that
of
Is it
get
the King of the
drawn
Hill?
between
Capture the
two
point?
teams.
What is this?
It looks like
there's
capture the
just
point.
less
And then push the
damage
payload.
incoming, and so you're able to kind of move around a little bit more, and you'll see it here.
Winston
a lot
looks
of times,
faster.
It does
the
look a lot
chokes aren't
faster.
as hard of a space to get through. There's
His
still a
cooldown
choke
is
in the map,
insane.
and you still have to work at it. But
Downtown
there can
to
be a lot
Brooklyn.
more.
I wanna
like,
see cooldowns in
pushing
UI.
through and pulling
Okay,
back
okay,
on the choke.
he has
It's something
100
that I'm
1200
like,
health on the shield.
personally really excited about.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how
Whoa,
is
he got fire strike back
the
real
5v5
fast. He got
with
2
limited
fire strikes.
map?
Yeah.
I feel like
He
it
has
kind of has to
2.
have a huge impact on, you know, what you guys are able to do, create different. You know, speaking about like,
Is there like a
players
2-second
control
cooldown?
the game, right? You know,
It
creating
seems
more
like it. He's
flanking
just gonna be able
routes,
to
you know, more
just shoot
opportunity for
fire
you know,
strike.
the Ash to go to the side.
Yo,
get
they
a
want
pick,
Ryan
you know, open things up for a team.
aggressive.
Yeah, there's a lot more opportunity for players to do
flanking.
that.
He
But
got
at the
500
same
health on the
time,
shield. I think that's more
Oh,
health.
when
isn't
you
it?
go for a
Winston has a
flank,
third ability.
You're not
What is
leaving
that?
5 players behind. You're leaving
No, it's
4
his,
players
it's his
behind,
jump.
and so you
No,
kind of have
so he
to
has to
weigh
jump
some of these
the-
decisions in your head. The game
The
is
shield,
just
and then what's the other
strategic
one?
as it was before.
know,
If
he's
not
using
more
it.
so because of the
He
the
uses it, but I
individual
can't tell what's
ability for
going on.
players to have
The one
such
with
a
the
large
three- the
impact
three,
Yeah.
on the match.
It looked like it was an
I think
evade.
for map design,
So he
we've
has 2
always
jumps.
been
Maybe like a mini
really
one.
careful to make spaces that feel good. just
Oh,
for
maybe it's like a
one
juke,
hero.
so you could jump up with the first one and then change
sometimes
direction
we might
midair.
favor
Yeah.
particular heroes in
That's
different
what it looked
areas.
like he was doing also.
But because of that, because
That's
we're
actually
able
pretty
to make a space that kind of feels good
How's
for
Mercy
Reaper, or a
working?
space
I wanna
that
see some
feels good
Mercy.
for
Give me
Farah,
What?
I think that we'll still be able to play 5v5 on
Tanks are going to be
all of
completely
the
different, bro.
original catalog.
They're
Of
going to be
Overwatch
completely
maps
different
as well.
characters.
Tanks
Oh, it
and-
tells you that
is
Mercy's
a
healing
awesome
you.
payload, Dion, by the way.
And you know, we've always in
So the fire
the
truck-
artwork of the maps, we've
Frosty
always
feet.
placed what we
Fire
consider
truck is a
cover
payload?
objects.
I think so.
Get
And
you
just
got a little
now
hoodie on.
with the 5v5, players will take advantage of that more. You know, even the previous
Ooh,
match,
ooh,
we
ooh.
planned cover objects to help protect players. Now with 5v5, they're even more effective. These artistic choices.
It's such a great point too, because we have
That's a
started
W.
placing a little bit more cover in our maps. And if you go back to some of the old maps, like
They're
if
putting
you
a
look
lot
at
of
King's
oppression,
Row,
man.
that middle
With the
section,
Farah
that
and Genji
street
just
section of
jumping
King's
around.
Row, there's one
Winston
piece
all
of
up in their
cover
face.
in that entire section.
Farah
It's
seems the
just
same.
corners of buildings
Yeah.
is what you're using.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Farah
I think
never
you
really
can kind
had
of see it
anything
here,
wrong with
even
her.
with
That's what it
you know,
was.
stuff like that. I know the taxis here in the streets. You know, you have the little kind of windows, the pillar to hide behind in the middle. There's a route through the subway. There's so many different kind of angles you can take.
Bro, this Ryan?
Something we saw at BlizzCon Line was the 2 fire strike, charge, cancel Reinhardt. I
Reaper's the
noticed something
same.
before, Jeff, when we were on with
Yeah,
Winston.
Reaper seems
My
the same.
Winston
I
on
was gonna mention
live, not able to shoot at range. Can you
Right.
explain that to us a little bit?
So yeah, I was wondering if people picked up on that. So we were first watching Winston there. This is an example of some of the tank changes we're talking about in regards to 5v5, but also a larger change. We're talking about making tanks a lot more aggressive, be able to be a little more hybridy on the damage side and less just raw protection. So on Winston's side, he's ulting right now. Unfortunately, you can't see it, but he can't do it while he's ulting. But his alternate fire there, which he's doing right now, there it is. You can charge up like a condensed blast of lightning from his gun and fire it off as a single sort of like blast attack at longer range.
Wow.
And so he actually, the charge up is kind of interesting with it for him.
Like what Zarya does.
And so there's like
Kind of, yeah.
theoretically more burst combos you can do where you're jumping on top of
You gotta
someone,
actually
charging
charge
up in
that
the air, and burst, release it right before you land on them, and then you get the stomp damage too, and you can shock them or do a quick melee combo. It's a lot more interesting things. On top of the fact that, with some players know a lot of times you're shocking somebody, they're getting away, you think you can finish them, and they just fair abuse away, or somebody just barely gets away, you get that extra alternate fire shot to try to take him out on the way. And it's actually interesting playing against him now because you now are cognizant of that. So sometimes you're leaving a little earlier, like, well, I'm going to get blasted probably if I just like run away. So I have to be able to survive that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the decisions all Winston players face. It's like, okay, I've jumped on this player, I've gotten them weak. I can either now get out of my bubble and try to finish them off, or just kind of hope a teammate does. But now giving him, I think it kind of goes back to more like that player, agency that you were talking about, being able to kind of take over the game, being able to finish it off. The nano boosted
shield hops.
This will never get old. Just seeing Reinhardt
Nano didn't last as long as
boosted, just swinging. I'm sure it makes the fans out there happy that I know that was a Dragon Blade, a Gelton Genji he was able to take out. It's kind of the bane of existence of a lot of people. But this looks like, I guess, the second checkpoint, right? So
it tells you what direction Mercy's healing you from.
Of Grand Central Station.
So it's like if I'm saying like, I need help, I'm on your right side
of the station and kind of curves around, I guess.
And you can see the payload is driven by an Omnic, who is a little Easter egg to our production director.
But is this HUD gonna be there for live? Because then you can tell when the enemy has
a name.
Ults.
Chaco.
And like who has discordance and shit like that.
Gonna be a fan favorite. Oh, he's even got it.
That's because it's zooming out. This is how Overwatch is now. If you watch it in spectator mode.
Okay.
He's got the suit.
Yeah, they're watching spectator.
Our
They're
executive
not actually
producer,
playing. Like the person who's showing
a lot, and it was only fitting. He has
he's lived in New York as well, so he helped out a lot on this map.
Do my damage.
And we have countless debates about the right type of pizza with him as well.
Yes, right.
Yeah,
they got a soldier on the
New York
team
style
now.
pizza is the dominant pizza. I believe it's the water. But that is probably for a different stream.
Yeah, you really want to get into
it?
My thoughts on the water in New York creating the better pizza dough. You also notice, at least I noticed, the new sounds, especially when like Ash shoots. That is something that it was discussed at BlizzCon Line, but I think it's different to kind of see it in action and also to see all of the other players at the same time with those audio changes. It just makes the game feel even more realistic.
Yeah, the sounds can get really punchy, and it just feels good.
You can hear it on Soldier, the sound difference.
Different heroes. But you also get more information from it. So we've spent a lot of time not just developing what these sounds are, but how they play in different environments. So we've kind of upgraded the entire sound system across the game. So let's say when that Ash is in a side room firing from that room, you really kind of understand where they're at and what type of environment
that's
better than you did before. And then you can kind of take that
there.
information and make different decisions or additional decisions because of it.
The game is going to be more reliant on your DPS.
Not bad.
You have bad DPS, it's over.
The players
when everyone wants to play DPS.
We were like, yeah, this is fun. Like everybody have a great time, and then everyone's like, put your SR in the chat. We're gonna make balance teams. Like who's playing what? It's just I feel like it's just the nature of Overwatch, right? Like it always starts off, let's play for fun, and then you lose a game. You're like, all right. Like everybody pick it up. Like let's change things.
It's like that meme when you're playing, relaxing in your chair, and then you lose, and you forward, get a little more.
What about me?
It's those nights of ranked where you lose like 2,
and
you're
Uptown
like,
in the Bronx.
You win 1, and then you're like, all right, play to lose, and then you lose a few more, and then the next thing you know, you wake up, you're like, well, why'd I do that? Like 500 SR down the drain. That's So this will be an opportunity to see like Roadhog as a solo tank coming in for the offensive side here. I feel like he's just going to be, even on live, right? He just takes up so much space, Jeff. Like, and he takes up space not with a shield, but like just his body. As I say that, we have a Zarya swap. But talk to me a little bit about like the thoughts on how like the Roadhogs of the world, Divas, even Zarya. I know there's some interesting stuff with Zarya as a solo tank.
Yeah, so like I said before, a lot of this is still work in progress. We're still sort of addressing hero by hero. But like because once we started
going to be on the ground by herself,
tank, it was sort of the big question was like, what direction are we pushing tanks now? We're trying to make Roadhog, a lot more static defensively and have.
He gets 2 shields now. Look,
barriers or something to protect his team.
Yeah.
Or do we want
2 bubbles?
Or the opposite, where like we take the Reinhardts and the.
That's going to make her so much stronger.
She's going to buff up so fast.
More like Roadhog and Diva. And so we definitely opted for that.
You
latter
just buff up 2 DPS going in.
Oh
my god! I can't even imagine.
Extra speed and aggression.
Look at this!
But,
oh my god!
What people
the recoil on her alt fire seems
when the metas get
longer,
too full of barriers and shields, and honestly, even sometimes when there's just the one Orisa blocking you with just the chain shields, and it's just like people had comments like, I feel like I'm shooting shields all the time, like we were definitely hearing all that, and you could see some of the balance changes we made in the past in the live game. They've been trying to address this, but once we got into this situation where we're like, this is sort of an opportunity
so hard to defend in this game,
to reduce a lot of these effects, and we still want them to be there and present and be important, and you can still block huge abilities. They still have a decent amount of health, but less than they had before. But then in response to that, you can see Reinhardt here. He hit the wall right there.
He's getting fucking jumped.
Yeah, and you can get two fire strikes.
You got a Widow on defense.
So the canceling charge is one of those like sneaky things that seems like to some people
definitely
might be kind of a minor change, but
we got 3 flying characters.
It changes how he plays a lot of ways. It's actually really fun because you can. It has a really fast recovery when you cancel, so you can like charge up to a group and then cancel and immediately ult and just like knock everyone down. So
with one tank, Ryan needs to sit there and shield though. Like these people who like to rush in as Ryan, like it's gonna be hard.
If people know you have your ult, or think you have your ult, you can charge right at them, and they're trying not to get stunned. Like they don't want to fight you necessarily.
Into Ryan because now they got 2 tanks.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can like bluff people and are running for cover, and you didn't even have it, or you save it or something. So
Echo's gonna be good.
Allows him to get in there and be more aggressive without sacrificing his health bar. So
it sounds like another change, almost like how you kind of mentioned like stuff like that Winston combo, kind of as you're playing and testing and seeing all these different things. Like where the Winston combo, you can load up that secondary fire, come to, like get the jump damage, land on somebody, take them out. Like that you kind of have like this like little meta game with like Reinhardt play, right? Where now you kind of have like this another layer of canceling the charge, being able to. I remember there was one clip I think from BlizzCon Line and just like a trailer where he
this means Zarya can now bubble for 2 ults
and then shatters them all. Being able to make plays like that just seems so sick.
He's also got the ability to control his charge more, so you can actually turn around corners more. So the charge when you cancel, it's also more aggressive and it's more versatile.
Fucking Mercy got
I think something else that's really interesting. If you look at people have noticed what's happening with Zarya, is she has 2 charges to her bubble now.
But they share charges is the trick. It's actually what we playtested in the April Fool's patch. So as people probably noted, like some of those changes a lot of them were just silly, kind of fun, like permanently flying Sigma. But there were some changes we threw in there. I was like, let's see how people react to this. I'm curious what people think. Like maybe this is something we could try. And the Zarya bubbles is one of those things. So.
Aaron,
it's something we just recently kind of put in, right?
Oh yeah.
It took me a while to get used to the new changes, but once I really dug in and like settled with these changes, I realized it's how I always wanted to play Reinhardt this way, basically. The charge in and
we were joking about that the other day, where I'm like. Yeah, like the canceling the charge just feels so right that but you're so like trained to kind of how it is, like where you're just charging into walls, right. That I was like I don't have to do this anymore. No. Like I can just go. Like it's such like a great quality of life change.
Yeah, something else I think that's really interesting here is like this fight's been going on for a while. Neither tank has fallen. And the support had been doing such a good job at keeping the tanks up, because there's only one of them that they have to actually focus on. And the fights feel really, really good being the tank player now. Like the amount of times you get into this situation where it feels hopeless. You're low on health. There's a bunch of the enemy players focusing on you, and you're
sonic
able
arrows
to
when
still
you
come
can
out
see
of
them
it.
anyways.
It feels so incredibly good, and you feel really powerful.
Yeah, it's I think that
that
has to be something that you guys have kind of gotten in feedback, that from a support point of view, you're able to dump resources into just one tank, and that also probably frees you up to do a little bit of other stuff, right? Where the Batiste can do a little bit more damage. You know, Zen, you can kind of orb the tank and then focus on the damage. That probably has to be way easier in supports now.
For sure.
It tells you who you put your orbs on.
Feedback from support players. It's a lot easier.
Yeah,
to focus.
that's what I was saying earlier.
And a lot of times you almost have this like communication between the two support players, and you know you have like Mercy's like, I'm just going to be on tank duty and just be on tank basically the whole time, and you have like a Lucio or something like that to spot heal everybody else and speed everybody up. But there's other strats like you've seen people go too good main healers essentially and try to just focus so hard on their tank that even with like Discord orb on them, it's just hard to kill them. So that's going to be an interesting strat too. So I'm not even sure like what the quote-unquote meta is entirely yet, especially because we're changing things all the time. I guess it's pretty hard for them to settle, but it's been a lot of fun.
This Zen UI is new.
Oh yeah.
It actually looks really cool. This is something obviously that's incredibly new. I think on live, like it's kind of displayed on the right.
Yeah,
we're generally looking through this.
Go ahead, sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, he's holding that
we're
shit.
generally looking at anywhere we can improve.
He held that shit for a while
hero-specific UI stuff like this, and we felt like this could use a big update and be a lot more readable.
Yeah, I think one of the things I'm most excited about with the healer UI is it's not just on Zen, but it's on Mercy also. You see the portrait of the player that you're healing, and so it's just a lot easier to kind of figure out who you've got instead of just using something like a nameplate, and
it's not off to the side, right? It's like center screen, so you're able to still kind of focus
Torb
down
got
the
same
middle.
ult.
Yeah, and you can see his Discord is down there as well. So you have like Harmony and Discord.
Have we seen a different ult from anybody yet?
Shown on each side of the ult at the bottom of the screen.
Nano feels shorter.
Even overtime here. I can imagine the comms are. Everybody's starting to get pretty sweaty now.
I'm amazed there's been no
the end of the map.
Yeah.
So this has really been, I gotta say, for you guys probably this is probably awesome to see, like the game actually being, it's one thing I think to play, but now to like observe and be able to watch, and obviously the people you guys work with every day, this has to be pretty awesome.
Oh, they were right
there.
Yeah,
it definitely is. We've been playing it in this
they played
for
a good
long
defense.
time too, and it's always they
got
so
steamrolled
tough
for a while.
To play a game a certain way,
Zarya was pushing
and then
so
go
hard.
home and it operates in a.
I'm excited. Let's jump into map number 2. This will be Toronto. This will be Push. This is the map that we actually saw back at BlizzCon. We all had a chance to play. It was awesome then. I'm excited to see some of like the flanking characters. You can kind of get like an overhead view of the map now and see your tracers, your Genjis on this type of map.
Reaper is the one to watch for, I think.
Has Reaper been tearing it up?
Yeah. Really,
so is this map the same as it was back at BlizzCon? Or has there been any alterations to it?
It's virtually the same. When we had the map at BlizzCon, it was definitely a work in progress, and it's still a work in progress now, but we've had the opportunity to add additional polish and art resources into the map since then.
I think this is what the game needs most, is maps.
All the maps just look so good.
You need maps, man.
I'm
tired of playing the same fucking maps over and over again.
And he's just like smiling, and he's just like so.
It wouldn't matter if there was a better rotation, because there were so many maps that we would almost never see when we played.
I feel like
and I'm wondering, like,
add a different type
is every single map
to
from the first game still going to be here, though?
Escort and
I hope so.
Hybrid, like you mentioned, are like the payload oriented maps, and I think Push kind of plays like that a little bit, but there's so much more movement, I feel like, than both of those, and just you take so many different fights all over the map, and I also love the fact that you just can't really tie on this map. I think one of the things like about Assault is that you can, you have like these like long like battles, and then it's a draw, and you're just like, oh, I wanted to. I mean, maybe even be okay taking a loss there, but like this, you definitely get a winner.
Yeah, definitely. And I really like game modes where the actual objective and the mechanics help pace out the speed of gameplay. And it was really, really hard for us to do that with 2CP. You can have incredibly long matches in 2CP, and sometimes like really quick blowouts. And it just came down to what the two teams were doing.
D1 Tracer, here we go.
The game mode itself wasn't really doing anything to enforce that, the way it might in Control or in
This is a little hockey ring.
And so with Push,
that's not hockey. That's
we have more of that, to where the game mode is actually
Shuffle? Is that what it's
actually helping to
I know what you're talking
the
about.
length of
It
the
might be
match,
called Shuffle or something
and
similar to
the
that.
pace of the match.
So Diva looks virtually the same.
You see on the clock, it's a 8-minute.
Yep, infinite ammo still.
Clock right now. So yeah, it is pretty fast. I think it's definitely.
Is the cooldown for her
some of these
jet shorter?
Yeah, that was much shorter.
Gets taken out right on. Right
She's gonna be able to fly
Luckily,
in and out
one of
whenever
those
she wants.
flanks didn't turn out.
Oh my god!
Didn't turn out so well.
4 seconds. Yeah, that's.
So does the bot unlock right away?
It takes about 30 seconds for it to unlock, and the reason we do that is we don't want a team to think that there's a certain amount of pressure, or to have all this pressure to get to it as quickly as possible. We want you to be able to be strategic with the way that you approach the bot in the middle of the map, and
you got to be next to it.
It's very similar to the way that Control works.
Just like he said, it's a control the point that
see
moves.
The robot. He's got a name.
That
right?
Diva got hacked.
Yeah, his name's TWO.
That's good. It's, we see some
and the point that you have to push to is close to their spawn.
Kind of come from players, up above to the side. I think you can definitely see that, like, fast paced. It looks way more like you can, as a DPS player, just kind of go off to the side, make a play.
This is just going to be like straight up
going right for the support.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're just going to be sitting here killing each other like over and over again.
Push,
yeah.
It's really
late game though, the robot is gonna have to like trek all the way back to push
but
it.
there are a lot of ways
Like
to
if
get
they
around
push
that
it to like the second point, for him to go all the way back to like the beginning is gonna be forever.
Can't blame him.
Tracer still got her blink.
I mean,
it's about the same.
I'm here. I'm fixated.
Where are the new abilities?
I think, I mean, this looks really deathmatchy. This does. Like, we're just, they're just going in, they're having a good old brawl, and then obviously as the mech or the point is moving through the map, it's changing up every single time, and it's just. To be honest, it looks fairly similar to.
It didn't matter. He got like 3 kills there.
Years ago. Just with one less tank. It's
they're pushing the robot back now.
Yeah, but it's just more space, I think, to operate.
Yeah.
Like,
he's just standing
I'm somebody
there.
who
they're contesting the robot.
Yes, like, and I'm excited that maybe not everybody will run around and like.
Because you have to constantly stay with him.
Off to the side and they can play. I noticed too.
He's just like
the green health over Lucio.
What do I do?
What is that on the UI now?
I actually completely forgot about that. So many changes.
I was like,
yo, making a comeback on this is gonna be so hard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then push your thing up.
We're
to get
up,
kills,
but,
push him,
it's
and stay
it's
next to
possible
him.
Change, although we're pretty happy with it right now. This is a change to.
This is a big IQ
kind of
map.
Overhealth.
This is
a larger system, which is, in Overwatch 1 you can have over armor and over shields to to you, much like you can have normal health and shields and armor. So once we started getting into trying to create clarity,
everybody
make sure the game's very readable.
It was like, where you at?
That came up too. Is like it's possible to
where
get
you going?
Especially you get into like PvE talents and stuff like that. Your health bar can get really colorful really fast. Like you could have,
are they gaining ult faster than usual?
And then armor and then shields and then over health, armor and shields. And you could literally have 6.
I feel like the ults have been popping really fast.
And it was like I can't even understand what I'm looking at right now. This is like so insane. So we ended up condensing all of the over health concepts into just one.
Tracer has less health, right?
So,
or does she always have 150?
Other than Summer's EMP, over shields was more
Tracer technically has 300 health
because it didn't regenerate shields. Over health doesn't have a regeneration value. So it was kind of nonsense anyway, honestly. So now we kind of have everything condensed into green health, and it's very understandable that you see somebody with green, and you can see like, okay, that's not, that's over healthy. It's either going to drain, or if I shoot through it, it can't be healed and stuff like that. So
this poor robot
kind of helps clarify all that.
He's so confused.
He's getting a workout going back.
Yeah,
and
pushing
forth,
him back.
But, I noticed before there was like a circle. So is there like kind of capture points, like progress? Does that change the respawns at all? How does that work on push?
Yeah, it does. So the robot starts in the middle of the map, and it pushes those those red barricades in front of it, and you can use those to kind of like in world see what your high watermark is, and if the robot's able to push it to the checkpoint.
That Genji was smart. He stood under them. You saw that?
For the team that was able to do it. You can kind of see it just off to the left here behind Reinhardt. So if the attacking team can push it over there, they'll unlock that spawn point, and it gives them a big advantage in order to kind of push through the rest of the map.
Damn, they actually made a comeback.
And then I assume when
I wasn't expecting
when
this.
2 starts moving the other direction, I guess it'd be decides to start moving the other direction.
This is like
they would lose that
completely
forward
based on
spawn,
skill.
right?
Yeah, but there is
Which I don't have.
there is an additional TWO has to be pushed back to the middle of the
like
map.
usually you can
before
get away with
lose your
bullshit
forward spawn
and
run.
like capture
and
the
we
point.
actually started it the way that you described it, but a lot of times the robot could just move back and forth across this one checkpoint, and it got like really chaotic, and you'd have no idea where you were going to spawn. So
He's like, do I really have to keep going?
Period.
Oh
made
god.
It a little bit stickier.
I'm tired of you guys.
By forcing him to return to the middle.
Yeah, that's a good call. I can imagine if that was the case now, yeah, you would have like, if I spawned this 1 second, I would spawn close, and then like Stylosis spawns the next
So many
second,
character
he's far
changes.
away.
Yep. And I mean, that happens
Wow,
in Overwatch,
Winston really jumped right into it.
But it was just
He did.
It was way too blatant.
What a
Little
fool.
Zarya's sick.
She's incredible. I love her.
This robot
It's
is
actually
putting in
a
that hard
recent thing
labor,
I
bro.
checked it in, but it's pretty new.
Is
Look
her
at him.
damage ramped up when she's charged? Like more so than
Yeah, I mean,
like
yeah,
a-
it's
yeah.
so you have the same bubbles you had before, but
Yeah,
they're both using shared charges. So yeah, we found that
This endgame
because
has been
this
so
increased
hard.
flexibility in how you use it,
Yeah.
she tends to be at higher charge.
Walk him
more
all
often.
the way back.
I mean, this is a good example. I
Right
guess.
into their spawn.
But
Oh
so
man.
it's actually even a lot of playtests. I can find myself like, sending a message.
Maybe-
to people, what was your average?
I'm trying to
energy
think like
usage?"
maybe for certain maps they can make ult
That
charge
seems a
like
little-
less or more. So like for this you can bump up
Balancing
ult
teams,
charge
but
fast
It looks so fun,
because
though. I mean, as somebody who
for
loves
each
to
fight
play
it feels like you
Zarya,
need ult.
I also can imagine the people that I would play with on Zarya would just
Yeah,
automatically
but if
double
you're
bubble
accruing
themselves
ult
and
Right.
so
everybody
fast,
else.
it's gonna make the game
Actually,
extremely
it's
hectic. Like,
Yeah.
Let's just run
deaths
into double
just
bubble
didn't
ourselves.
happen
But
like
then you start to
that.
think like,
But that's the point of
actually,
this
if I
map.
save 2 and Genji pulls out his blade on my team, I think if I double shield him and I save that
Oh,
up,
it's out.
that's going to
Oh,
be
yeah,
kind
I
of
didn't even think
ridiculous. So
Oh yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
Look how
Like,
far
he has
you
to
don't
walk
just
as
have
slow.
the 2 bubbles
He doesn't walk
to
as slow
yourself,
as I
but you
imagine.
could, because they share the charge, you could theoretically like bubble a Genji blade and then bubble him again, right?
Yeah, but now if you think about it, they have to walk
Oh,
him
yeah.
back.
Works really well.
So
So this
many,
is-
so many different ways. Like,
yeah, so this is
I'd
like
lose more
as I
shit in
just
this game.
kind of recently put in, coming off the back of the April 1st stuff and seeing out.
But you play Valorant. Isn't Valorant similar to this?
It's been pretty interesting.
No,
I'm certainly
Valorant,
concerned
you
about it in
fucking
some
die
cases,
once
but
you're
it
gone.
also leads to some really awesome plays.
It's
So
gone for the round.
I'm kind of letting it rock for a while and see how it feels.
Isn't that
Urban
harder?
progress.
Yeah.
I like the progress on that one.
That sounds a lot harder.
So, OT, how does the rule here work? I guess
No,
they,
but
they
all you gotta
have
do
to
is
push all
eliminate
the
the
way to
squad
the
and
end,
you
or
win
do
the
they
round.
just have
That's pretty
to
much it.
beat?
Oh, so you can play by
time of
yourself
the
in
blue team.
Valorant,
They
basically.
just need to beat the time of the blue team. So the win condition
headshots
for
are
push
instant kills.
is whoever has
Yikes.
pushed it the furthest.
Yeah, so
by
you don't
the
need
end of
team
time
composition
wins,
at all.
Or if you happen, or if you're able to push it all the way to the
Oh,
end of the map, you'll win
Junkrat.
it.
What is he gonna do?
So now they're unlocking
got
their
one
forward
kill.
spawn room right here.
They need to reduce how long he
Tragedy
fucking has that
strikes for the
tire,
blue
bro.
team.
But they got it.
Yeah,
Look.
they need to stay near the robot, I believe, to keep pushing.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, right. And so
They're
you
they're
can't
coming
have,
back.
You know, the good old blunder where everybody walks off the objective and
Maybe. Yeah, it's not. This doesn't seem
two
imbalanced at all.
Sad.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh no!
Oh, that's a problem.
Oh my god.
Wow!
I imagine imagine these games go right down to the wire.
It's over.
I mean,
Just as we saw
definitely hectic there towards the end. This is going to be quite good for Overwatch League. I imagine this is.
They won because they had it the farthest.
I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed.
Oh, so there's time in this. Okay.
Yeah, I think
there's time.
Stylistic, I think to your point, like you think about like 5v5 or 6 on 6, you're like, oh well,
no, it's 6 minutes.
Does it still have that like big like energy, like that fast paced like kind of, and you see it there, I think, especially on push.
Oh my god, I don't even know what to say. Like, this game looks amazing. It looks so good,
so different, so new and
fresh. So as I was saying earlier with the 5v5, this is what I mentioned before, right? Each role needs an attack and defend. Now the way the 5v5 works, tanks are gonna feel like there's attack tanks and defend tanks.
Yeah,
and as they're saying, Reaper's good on this map. Tracer's good on this map.
More often,
Widow's good on this map. This is what we need for the game to add variety. You need not to nerf and buff everything. To fucking make certain characters viable in certain maps. So that for each map you're like, I'm a Tracer main on Toronto, and like I'm an Ashe main on New York City. You know what I mean? Like,
but then you're locking players into certain metas for each map. So it's like, if you're playing in New York, are you only going to be playing like Ashe and McCree's?
No, see, and then what happens is you have your characters that are better in those situations, but characters don't make the fucking game easy. Like, you still have to be a good player. Just because you pick Ryan on New York City on defend doesn't mean you're gonna win. But the thing is that what you're doing when you create variety in each map is that you're helping casuals, right? So casuals have variety. Casuals aren't just picking Ryan all the fucking time. It's better than just being like, I'm just gonna play Ryan every fucking map and win because Ryan's the best character in the game. No, but if you're on defend and you see that we're losing, you can like really quickly go wrecking ball and get a lead up on the other team, and then we can switch back, or you can stick with it for a while to do some damage to run down the time. It's all about the player. It's not about the characters, it's about the player, but you're giving default variety, not just pick Ryan every fucking map.
So that's an example of where we didn't just like.
I see what you're saying.
And let her go kill everybody. It's like she can actually protect her team a little more, so she slides a little bit closer towards, the defensive route.
Probably players out there who want.
It's like when you're playing, I could just pick Lucio or Mercy. Like, I don't think like by default I should be like, oh, we're playing Toronto. Okay, who should I be playing here? What kind of strategy should I be looking for? What kind of comp should I be running? Not run goats on every fucking map because goats is the best comp in the game. Like, you know what I mean? Which they got rid of that now because of roll queue, but on every map you can run Ryan, Zarya, Soldier, Reaper, Lucio, and Mercy are like Baptiste. And the team who picks the top tiers is just going to win all the time on every single map, whether it's capture the point or payload.
You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
Yeah, because they're just steamrolling you, no matter where you are.
It doesn't fucking matter. So by default, everything should have variety. By default, everything should be different. And then it takes the good players. You can weed out the good players who can run a wrecking ball on defense for a while to get the lead or to push up a little bit. Because hell, you can run wrecking ball for the first 2 minutes of the game, get some kills. Once the other team starts building ults, boom, now I got a Ryan. What you gonna do? Your comp. I just counted your comp. Past 2 minutes of the first game. Now you got 3 minutes to push up this fucking payload or capture this point. You just need to have something that appeals to the casual, and then something that's going to, and then a later on skill gap for the good players. Because there's no reason why I should be steamrolling a team and then Bastion beats me, because they got a solid fucking Ryan and a Mercy pocketing them every single time. There shouldn't be a reason for it. Maps are different with different modes for a reason. Bastion shouldn't just work on every fucking.
But I feel like the Bastion situation is completely separate though, because like you said, they pocket him, so like they're now building the team comp around the Bastion. No matter what map you play, there's always going to be some way to set up a Bastion pocket.
No, that push the wall thing doesn't help Bastion.
Yeah, it
He
does.
needs to move the person. He needs to stay next to the robot moving.
The Bastion doesn't have to move.
Yes, the Bastion has to move. He's their main DPS because there's only one tank.
No, if the Bastion sets up with one of the healers, then the other DPS like the Tracer or the Genji, maybe even a soldier can just run up and then push the little robot dude.
Yeah, okay, so they're going to run up and push the little robot dude. So the 5 dudes coming in are going to kill the 2 DPS. And that's going to leave 1 Bastion, not even 2 DPS, because Bastion's 1 DPS.
Yeah.
So that's 1 DPS and 1 tank. So now the Bastion's left with 2 healers and 1 DPS.
But he's still being pocketed, and he can just mow you down as you're coming in. And then when the rest of the team comes, they keep moving down.
Especially with Winston, the way he's moving like that. Especially on a map like this with Tracer, Genji, Winston.
We'd have to see the damage input for the Bastion and how...
Ain't no Bastion winning on this map by just being pocketed like that. He has to consistently move. He can't just stay stationary on a map like that. There's no fucking way. And you know, we can make the complaint for us because we're fucking gold ranks. We're fucking scrubs compared to, you know, people who are gonna play this game. There's no fucking way a Bastion's gonna stick around on that map.
I mean, the tank changes, that's definitely the one
Squidward.
that, you know, kind of stuck out to me.
Huh?
He has the Squidward painting in the back.
I don't want to listen to this guy talk. Overwatch League pro player. Your experience is different from mine, sir. Your experience is different from mine. You actually get a fucking competent team working with you.
He runs a 6-stack. Yeah, we never get that.
I'm just saying that, like, you can't convince me the Bastion's gonna work on a thing like that without moving. He has to always consistently move and change his positioning.
It wouldn't be consistent. It'd be just enough for your team to move the robot to the next point, and he just sets up at the next point.
The robot still has to move.
He's moving maybe 3 times. Maybe.
No. Because they're gonna stop him as soon as they arrive.
No. So like let's say like your Tracer, right? She's in the front, she's being annoying, she's pushing the robot. You're at a distance with one of the healers setting up from an angle where you can mow them down as they're coming to the robot. So then once you get the robot to a certain point,
because the way they're designed right now, I feel like they weren't really made to be played solo, if that makes sense. But now I feel like if they do the proper changes, then I think it could actually be pretty good.
Absolutely. You saw there as well a couple of the changes. We mentioned Winston's maze. We haven't really talked about it. It's definitely part of a wider conversation that we can sort of tap into in a moment. And of course, we'll be rejoined in just a moment by some members of our development team as well to maybe add some context and field some more of these questions here. We already heard a little bit about Diva and sort of the way that she was sort of tweaked. So I want to take this opportunity to bring back in Jeff Goodman, of course, the lead hero designer on Overwatch 2, and Dion Rogers, our associate art director. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here. Of course, now you have a bona fide main tank player at the professional level in the room here, and Super, of course, the chance
go ahead,
to share
finish
some of
your
your
thing.
thoughts. But
so if the Tracer's up in the front being annoying, maybe with like with the tank and one of the heals, then you have the Bastion set up in the back with another healer, set up from an angle where she can just mow down everyone's coming close to the robot. The Tracer's continuously moving up the robot, and then once you get to the point, the Bastion just moves back to the next point where he can set up and watch.
You're thinking that like Bastion's just going to be able to mow down an entire team of 5 by himself like that.
There's one less tank. It'll be so much easier.
No, it's not. Not with Ryan being able to fire strike from fucking 2 times from 10 feet apart. And with Winston being able to snipe from the back now too.
But see, then you run into the same issue now, where if the Ryan is focusing the Bastion and you have someone pocketing the Bastion, he can just destroy your shield, and then the Tracer's going to be in the back lighting you up.
No. Look, if the Tracer's pushing up with a tank and a healer, as you said, they're moving up into the enemy position. No matter what, the enemy position is now going to have a better time to attack. Okay? Especially with the Winston. Jumping over everyone into the back lines with a Bastion and having a Genji behind him, there's no fucking way. Their tank, the reason why Bastion works in gold rank in Overwatch 1 is because he always has 2 tanks above him. I mean, in front of him. He has a Mercy pocketing him, and then the DPS he has probably another Torb with another fucking turret. That's 7 players.
Symmetric.
That's 7 people you're fucking facing.
Maybe changes, or maybe it becomes more focused now to some
Or
degree.
Symmetric, yeah.
You know, Reinhardt obviously.
I'm just saying that it's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work if you have a good team. If your team knows how to face a Bastion and knows how to play the game.
But that's in any situation. If you know how to take down the Bastion doesn't work. But then, like you said, in gold ranks, it works because people can't deal with the Bastion because he deals so much damage. So unless his damage input is changed, I feel like it's gonna be a similar issue.
No. It's not that.
Oh,
Bastion does too much damage. It's that people don't know how to work together to take out a Bastion. That's the issue. Is people don't understand how to communicate and what characters to actually use to counter a Bastion. It's all about team comp. It's never about damage. If it was about damage, then he would be a problem in higher ranks too. He's not a problem in higher ranks because people play as a team in higher ranks. They're two completely different things.
People feel like I
feel like the damage definitely factors into it.
Yeah, for us, it factors into it.
Charge and try to get hammer swings
but
in there to build your
that's
ult,
because
like,
we suck.
That's
what I'm trying to tell you.
Shot you so much, you build more ult than you did. So what we've done is shooting an enemy tank generates less ult for you. So your
If it was real, people can come there for free. He's a community guy. We wanted to show.
Oh, we're gonna get to see May
gigantic
on Doomfist.
Sci-fi
Doomfist.
Yeah, it's
Yo, Winston's gonna be big, huh? Winston is gonna be big.
Into the game. You saw a little bit at BlizzCon.
This is payload, right?
A while ago, but there's definitely
capture then payload.
Right,
So I do have a question for Jeff.
I always enjoy the hybrid matches.
I do have a question, if that's fine. So if I'm pretty sure, like way back in the day, there was like an
yeah, man, Winston and Doomfist coming at you with these 3 characters in the back just lighting you up.
And then 6 was perfect. But like, I'm kind of curious.
Team 2 got a weird comp.
Like the Overwatch
Curious to see how
that philosophy kind of changed. Like,
how
was
this
it
works.
Yeah, it's just gonna be
one of the May and the
Maze.
Wrecking Ball.
May's gonna be in the front by
It's
herself.
annoying. No, because the Wrecking Ball is gonna be
so
there.
much about the game. I mean, it's kind of Aaron touched on at the beginning, like before everything, and you could just play 5 Winstons. In fact, we had an internal tournament where that was the strategy: 5 Winstons and a Zenyatta. It was sort of like, oh my god, this.
Look,
is
he's
like
already
a
back
problem,
there.
or is this
It just
totally
took the
not?
Winston away from the
So,
front
like,
line.
obviously, when you're building really any game, you try to make the best judgments for what you have and what you're playing. But once you have the game in the wild, you get everybody.
And
else's
it allowed
needs
the
and
Widow
it
to set up
marinates
on the
for a
right,
while
you
and
see it?
Changes, like your opinion on this stuff definitely changes. So I think over time.
Now they
like
lost their
we
healer.
touched on, we were still keeping
Winston's
an open
dead,
mind
though.
to maybe doing some of these
Hanzo's
changes,
dead.
And then coming Overwatch 2, we were just like, let's
That was
revisit
the
everything
Wrecking
now,
Ball
except
did that
for
entire thing.
the major core decisions of Overwatch
With
1.
one push.
Really looking forward to revisiting, and at that point, we were
This
just like,
the fact that's an
maybe
issue,
just
right?
look
I always
better.
say
Maybe
it.
we were wrong all along. Although
There was no need for the Winston
people
to turn
always
around.
say it's kind of a design thing.
Like, there's no reason why
I'm not
3 people
necessarily
can't kill a
wrong all the
Wrecking
time
Ball.
just because you were wrong in retrospect. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Same shit on Hanamura.
Hybrid mode.
The second somebody touches the fucking point, both tanks turns around, goes to the fucking point. Why? Why are you doing that?
Roll on out, and we kind of teased. So these payloads. This is, I mean,
Especially if
I'm
no
not
one's
saying
asking
to
for help.
peacocking. Look at what I'm wearing. But this is great. Obviously, we tell a story in Overwatch.
This payload's a bird.
In Overwatch 1 with these payloads here. So looking forward to seeing how that story gets
Fucking Mercy.
Hello.
The difference is map geometry, right? As we move into the second phase, all of a sudden it's less about chokes and overpasses, and it's just this jumble of all these buildings and so much high ground here. Really felt like
The Wrecking Ball's just
the
up
way
there
you play
being
the map
annoying.
changes drastically here.
Yeah.
Not trying to get any kills. Not trying to. He's just stalling them as long as he can.
Oh, you can go ahead.
He's a
That was just
For the actual fight.
trying
tracer.
More of this phased approach with the visuals and the gameplay.
Because if he can stall them
So
for
you
the
saw it was
point
a
to
bit
get
more
up,
open. As you get
and by the
healed,
time
there's
he
a
needs
feeling
to get
of change
healed,
in
and he'll
gameplay
come
and
back with the
art
front
as
lines,
well.
the fight actually
So
begins.
this visual progression as well as gameplay.
Is she gonna have a different
Much
alt?
more
Her
clear in
icon
some
is
of the newer
different.
maps we're working on.
Yeah, one thing that maybe it's just the
Now,
maybe
by
it's
the time
just a
these people
coincidence, but I
come
feel
back,
like
the Wrecking
a
Ball's
lot
back.
of,
There you
A
go.
lot of chokes in Overwatch 1, like specifically, like I think like Hanamura first, or like going through King's Row second. they're very like tight and like it's like perfect for like a Reinhardt.
They gotta
shield to
win.
spread across, and it
Oh no,
can
they
be,
still
like,
have to win.
You know,
There
a
you
real
go.
pain to get through those sometimes because you feel like you really only have like one way to go through. But I'm seeing at least.
And that was
in
both
other
their
maps, we
healers.
look
Oh, look at
a lot
that.
More, a lot more flanks
Everybody
and
dead.
ways to access.
They
the
already got
point,
halfway
and
there.
I think that's overall better for the design because
This map seems
I
kind of
feel like
long.
especially on Hanamura first. Like going through that choke is kind of, you know, it can be real. It can be real not fun sometimes if you're just not clicking or if it's just, you know,
They can't let that Widow set up.
That yours can't
The Wrecking Ball is
counter.
allowing the Widow to set
I
up
think
every
it's
time.
just better overall.
Yeah, we want
'Cause everyone keeps paying
Oh my
attention to
god,
him.
if she would have got that kill, bro.
Stuck at the choke. They have a few more options to break through. Basically, they don't have to rely fully on the tank powering.
Oh
through
my
this
god!
but
And
yeah,
then
that's always the thing, trying to improve
the
options players
Doomfist
have to solve.
and everyone else, they're not gaining ult as quick by fighting the Wrecking Ball.
Yeah.
We don't
Oh,
see
that
that.
sucks.
That's all they're fighting is the Wrecking Ball.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
So obviously,
Yikes.
Like I said,
you've got
by
one
the
less
time they
hero on
kill the Wrecking Ball, the
battlefield,
Wrecking Ball has to
your
retreat.
maps
The
are
other four
much more,
dudes already up there
labyrinth,
going
I
ham.
guess, or just bigger, right?
And they're already low on health.
You know,
Yeah.
there's so much more ground you could cover if you wanted to take a different approach. How do you sort
Yikes.
of balance
Because I don't even think the Wrecking Ball's gone for
how
any,
big the map
like,
is, right?
hasn't
'Cause
really
obviously
killed
there's a sense
anything.
where,
He's just there to
you
be
know,
an asshole.
Yeah.
If you go too far one direction, right, it can seem quite barren. But here, like everything, there's attention to detail everywhere, right? There's so many crisscrossing ways of approaching the point. So it doesn't feel big, but it definitely.
Wow.
In Overwatch, on live,
I
right
like
now, it definitely
this.
feels bigger, right? Was that ever a consideration?
There he is
to sort of
again.
Balance that, the sort of size and
Being annoying.
the majesty of it all.
And he's backing up the entire
Yeah,
time.
it's definitely more detailed than before.
So that the front lines
And
can now push up.
again, the more
When they're in
options,
trouble,
there's
he'll come
more
back.
passage ways and
Look, now the
ways
Winston's
for
trying to
players
play aggressive. He
move
got fucked. He got
through
fucked
and
the second he
build
went back
strategies
there.
from, but ultimately the
The
maps
Zen had to
in a
fucking pop
fairly
ult.
similar size to the previous. You're just seeing a lot more detail out of the Overwatch 2 engine. We have a lot of cool upgrades that allow us to do more while
And
keeping
look
us
look at their
moving
Doomfist. Poor man's is gaining ult
But,
so
Yeah,
slow.
it's
And the
more
Winston
constantly with
used his ult to get out of there.
and how it feels to move
This
through
Doomfist
space
is about to die.
visually,
Yeah,
as
he
well
had
as
to get
gameplay
it. He's
wise.
dead. He's dead right here. Oh no, they got him. The Baptiste got him.
Colorado feel almost, right? We have sort of payloads that are moving through underneath, and there
That was poor Baptiste. He lost his whole ult.
The May was like, nah, boy.
Yeah, there's
I
like a
love this
left
point
high
in
ground, right
particular.
high ground. There's so much going
May
on
seems
here.
like she's gonna be a lot of fun.
I love this
And
point in particular.
Like, it's
taking
not
the
just
middle high
freeze,
ground is
Icicle.
really important.
freeze,
If you can hold it, it's fantastic. But
icicle.
it's just really hard to hold.
She actually
because
feels
you
like
have
she has depth to her
upper
character
flank
now.
routes and under flank routes and stuff. So it ends up being like.
Wait, does Wrecking Ball have a fourth ability?
Especially when you don't have tanks that can just sit on it with barriers.
What
all the
was that?
time.
I didn't
It's so
see it.
powerful. You can see where Widow is right there. It's so powerful. You have
No.
everything up there.
So
And again,
is Universal ult charge nerfed, or is it just as a result of the tank changes that it seems like people are getting their ult slower?
It's mostly just the tanks, and we don't have. They're probably. I can't remember exactly all.
Yeah, because remember, you could just shoot up a tank for like fucking. You shoot both tanks like 20 seconds and you got ult.
Yeah, that's all Junkrats would do.
Especially if there was a
Right, I
hog.
guess there's one less tank to shoot as well, so it makes it
Right.
a little bit harder.
Wow.
I feel like that was the first time I saw Wrecking Ball.
But we're keeping a really close eye on them because a lot of what sort of controls snipers is the fact there's all these barriers you can't shoot through. When you're playing as Widow against a comp that is, like back in the day when it was
The
like Wrecking Ball
Winston
or
made
something like
sense
that,
against the
they're
Wrecking Ball
definitely
though,
a lot
because
more powerful,
why
so
play
you have
Rhine
to make sure
Yeah.
that they're not-
or
don't get out of
Sigma
control.
I feel, 'cause I
when
feel
they're
like
just
on
gonna get
some of
behind
these
you
choke
anyways?
points, it's definitely a
You
lot
know?
more wider
At least
than-
with like a
than some
Winston
other
or a
maps,
Hog
and I feel
on
like,
defense, you can
you know,
counter
if
the
unchecked,
Wrecking Ball.
some certain widows could
I
do
feel
push
like
out damage.
the road would have been a better choice to like try and hook
Yeah,
him.
just yet
But
another
like
thing
you
to
said, the
keep an eye on
moment the
since it changed
Winston
like this.
turns around to go face the Wrecking Ball is the problem. He has to
We talk
play
about how it sort of tanks
completely
and
ignoring the
sort of
Wrecking Ball.
allows
If he's
to be
diving the
more
back lines,
high
fuck it, he's
potential,
back
fill
there.
a broader spectrum of roles.
And let your DPS
Obviously,
handle that.
Yeah.
when you have a Reinhardt, you kind of know what the player is playing.
Symmetra.
For, right? Shield creates space.
Ooh, Symmetra
right?
and
You
Road.
create space just because the shield exists. And
I mean,
someone
Zarya and Road.
Hog, they create space because of the threat of the hook, right? It's not even something that's necessarily, it's implied threat, right? It's not sort of
Exactly.
directly displayed. So, I mean, what is the idea for a tank? Do you still want there to be the mix of there sort of being that implied threat plus obviously a very visible threat? you know, has it changed the way you think about how tanks create?
Matchmaking is
space
going to be a
now?
bit easier
Obviously,
too.
all tanks have to be able to do that to some degree, regardless if they have a shield or not.
Yeah, absolutely, and it obviously also impacts new hero design.
Map
Working
is so
heroes, how
beautiful.
they're going to interact with
My God.
creating space and defending their team. Certainly, looking at you know, Arisa's not being played here for a reason because we're looking at her really heavily. Any hero that has sort of just a really kind of heavy static.
Okay, Hog still has 5 shots, 600 health.
First.
Looks the same.
And then, you know, just that.
Yeah, it's these cooldowns we gotta
gets
see.
Roadhog
How are
shine
these
a little bit because it's
cooldowns
not
looking?
Being compared to
Reload time is about the
We
same.
gotta wait for the breath. The breath is gonna be big for him.
But certainly,
Woo! 7 seconds. That's still the same.
Probably, but you know, he went for it. Yeah, so like, there's a lot of changes
He got
we can make
rezzed.
now in this world that would have been really
Rezzing
scary
is gonna be
before.
so important now.
Especially
Oh
in
my
regards to
God.
cooldowns. So like Roadhog used to have a much faster
Damn,
way back in the
Daniel.
day. Maybe we could bring that
She
back.
can't even resin.
Especially in a world where all the tanks are pretty aggressive, so it doesn't, you know, it doesn't feel like it's super crazy. We still want to make sure there's enough like counterplay. You don't
Good
want to
try.
dodge the hook and then we had no opportunity to attack because we just hooked again right afterwards. So it's certainly a balancing act, but a lot of the tank sort of tankiness can be just in the hero themselves now. Because if you get to go in and be threatening, like with all this extra damage. And
Wow, she is melting him
Speaks by
though.
existing.
She got hooked hard.
Obviously,
He did have an orb on him though.
Super. I'm curious at your opinion here. Obviously, as someone who plays tank, right, and you know you'll play, you know, main tank as we called it, or off tank. What is it that makes you sort of feel most powerful when you're playing tank, right? Because obviously all the heroes offer something so different, each of them. But could you narrow it down?
His hook
Oh
accuracy.
my God.
You know.
Yeah,
Fucking hell.
well, I feel like a lot of it comes
Oh!
down to like, decision making, right? And a lot of
That
that
1
currently
second
is
allowed the
kind of based
Hanzo to
off
get
of
the
fact
shot.
of what your
Mess is hitting
second
everybody
tank's
with a
doing,
get
which is
over
obviously
here.
no longer a thing because there's a removal. And I feel like this is really gonna have to rely a lot more on like your supports.
Don't
keeping
peek,
you a lot
girl.
more alive as opposed
Don't
to,
peek.
Like, your tank or secondary tank, you know, being in coordination with you. Because the supports now.
This is the best
focus
defense
on-
we've seen
on
so
one
far.
tank in particular.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh my God. I'm now thinking about it. Before Lucio, he could boop the road after he gets hooked and save himself. Now you can't do that.
give a lot
Because the
more,
rogue's still gonna be right in front of you.
Yeah.
I guess,
Gonna push. She's gonna be like, nah.
assertive, because they can't really
Wow.
on their other tank to
I wonder
Damn,
if
that was
this.
half damage.
or, like,
I wonder if this also applies to the
help
Junkrat mines that he throws.
I feel like it definitely changed.
If
That
the
mob is
knockback
useless.
is.
There's a good handful of
reduced.
players who, you know,
That was a
their-
really
their
bad
selection
bobble.
of tank really boils
She
down
probably thought he was gonna go further.
capacity to deal damage.
How she used the teleporter to get out of there.
You'll see them, right? You
So
see
fast.
these sort of Sigmas
Yeah,
like
you
that.
never see
You
people do
like
shit like that.
playing Roadhog, that's their favorite tank because he does that.
It's that mouse and keyboard.
You know, trying to make a player feel powerful on tank without just doing damage requires.
Am I gonna
you
buy
to
this game on
think
PC?
much more about games.
I'm actually thinking
Oh
about
my
it.
God.
Outside of just doing a ton of damage, how do you sort of
Yeah, his hook shots are
make
crazy.
them feel powerful
Yeah,
without
he's
something
hitting
that's
everything, bro.
Speedy Rogue.
Yeah,
Now he's on top of the building. Is that where he is? Oh, they got a Ryan. They got a Ryan.
that I'm maybe not qualified to talk about.
They're tired of being
I
hooked.
don't know. I mean,
I'm not asking you, but you can weigh in on it
okay,
first.
yeah, I'll just keep speaking. That's good. No, that's good.
That's a dead Hanzo.
Here's what your
That's good.
opinion is, but- Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, a lot of it's like we're talking about
Wow.
Super mentioned, like,
Nope.
trying to make sure
He
that
said, "Back up."
that's kind of the point of the Zarya
All it
switch
took was a
is
Ryan
just giving them
switch.
more flexibility and more options. So, I mean,
Which is
that
smart.
happens
You
to be
can't hook
also
anyone if
good
they're
attack,
behind
so
me.
it is way scarier. It does more damage in this case. We may have to rein that in.
The
a little
bird
bit.
is back.
She was already running out in that last little bit there with like.
They
the
bought a
80%
lot of
and
time,
100%,
though.
So you can see it's pretty.
They have a lot less time than the other team did.
Yeah, it's definitely just trying to create really.
Yo,
interesting playmaking
he tried.
options, and,
He
I
tried.
think that's where a lot of
I respect it.
people kind of like to have the tanks exist. Where
He
it's-
really
if
wants
you really
them.
want to just click heads.
Mhm.
There are probably better options out there. I don't think we're likely to make any kind of like sniper tank out there.
It's funny because he let the Pharah go. I feel like he knew the Mercy was going to be behind her.
We'd like to try to keep the tanks like I was mentioning with the crowd control changes as an example of this. We'd like to keep the tanks being the ones who are primarily able to do crowd control.
That's a dead Hanzo.
That's
I don't know why he even
also
did that.
Being one tank now, it means still there's gonna be a lot less crowd control in the game in general, but still allow that.
Damn, these buildings are going to fuck Pharah.
That particular element.
Really, I feel like they help her a little bit.
But obviously taking
I mean, you saw when she ulted, they all just ran behind a building.
Still something that, you know, you feel like you could include in the game. It almost feels
But it also offers her protection, where if she would have ulted from behind them, it would have been better for her. Because now you can't like see her out in the open.
Yeah, but there are also more sniper spots too.
Now it's just
That is also true. If she turns around the wrong corner, she's screwed.
Outside of 5 different forms of it coming in. So it feels like almost
Exactly.
responsibility as a tank player is almost ticked up a notch there, because you got to be.
The Ashe really isn't doing much though for the team. I mean, the team is too tanky.
Crowd control gets reduced.
You know, for Roadhog and Symmetra doesn't even have to engage much. She has turrets everywhere. Hanzo doesn't even have to engage.
Is ready. And you need to, let's say you're playing Hog.
And Hanzo can one-shot Ashe before Ashe even gets a kill on him.
It's a really big game changer if you land it. So sort of like make sure it's up and then you save it and try to keep an eye on him. And conversely, if you're a character who
he's out of there.
Watching for
That Ryan has messed up the charge like 2 or 3 times.
This Ryan really wants this Hanzo, and I think he's fucking it up for his team right now.
Can stop you. You're looking for their tank.
Because he doesn't even have Earth Shadow, so I don't even know what he's setting up for.
Rather than
Wow, the Zen saved him.
Zarya can ulti.
Yeah, the turret was gonna screw him over.
And that's what you're most concerned with.
Ooh!
More CC in general, I think.
Yeah, that Farragon, he can do whatever he wants.
even with sort of
Big plays.
Ryan obviously being as close as he was to the whole Hog.
Ah, I thought he had the mercy.
I sort of remember it was almost like a tooltip text loading into game, sort of playing Overwatch. It sort of said like, listen out for footsteps.
I want to play Overwatch.
You want to play this Overwatch?
It really feels like the weight of these weapons is much more effectively conveyed, right? If I'm listening here,
it's so good to feel this again. The hype for Overwatch.
I love weapon sounds. He's done such a great job.
Yo, man's just healed out of there.
Especially like
He didn't even run away.
Nope.
He was just like, I'm gonna sit here.
It's sort of like
Tank and DPS on him. He didn't care.
You really feel like you're actually wielding a very high caliber weapon, right?
They're on overtime already though. This is a hard push.
Sort of make sound.
They held him
It's
here.
doable.
Based on where you are
It's
around the
doable,
map,
but it's a hard
the
push.
environment- I think this is maybe covered, I think, this one online as well, but it really
Get
feels like
on the
you're
payload, you fucking idiot!
In Lucio's club beforehand, and that echo is really much more apparent, right? That
Oh yeah, Symmetra things don't go through shields anymore.
And being on the receiving end of Widowmaker's shot, it's just.
Oh my gosh, she set up those turrets so fast.
Yeah, she's been doing it
Jesus.
consistently like that, throwing up 2.
Bro.
Blah, blah.
Right, yeah.
Wow, team
Helps you hide in terror.
Yo, her turrets were set up mad fast.
But, getting hit by these weapons and these abilities.
Mouse and keyboard, bro. Mouse and keyboard.
It has more of an
She was just like
impact.
click, click, click
Yeah.
on the fucking bridge.
That's how she got away with the teleporter too. Bloop,
I
bloop.
feel like I'm almost sort of shifting in my seat as
Chaotic.
we're gonna jump in and check this one out.
Here we go.
We've got a bunch more questions, I'm sure.
Rome.
Do as well here, but I mean, first impression.
Man,
is
Neptune
wow,
sitting there,
this is an
showing off his little
incredible
six-pack.
vista.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Absolutely stunning stuff. We were talking about you mentioned like the F thing, but it looks like there's some twists and.
I want to see
turns,
more of
it's
this
almost like
push
the
stuff,
path
boy.
overlaps itself as well at some points.
It
Give me a
does.
different
There's
comp.
a little bit of C shape, and then there's this bridge overpass that's pretty fun to encounter. I think I'm curious to see how this battle plays out once the players get to the overpass.
Oh, we got junk.
Starting to
Yeah, I feel like the two big features on this map, and we'll see.
Not much of a
right
different
away,
comp, but okay.
is The first one,
No
Team 2
Sig,
seems really annoying. Like they're just gonna be all over the place.
or the
no Sigmas,
or
no
bot
like,
starts, and that
come on, no
it
Orissas,
kind of
nothing.
I think they said the wrist is not
looks
gonna
sort of
be in it
simple
because
and
they're still
basic
working her.
geometry, but is like the subtlety there.
This is a
it's got
2022
slight
game,
curve to it
definitely,
all the time.
man.
It's so amazing, and you can.
We're not gonna be able to play
these
this
are
shit for
blocked
another
off,
year.
some are Open, as far as in between the pillars, and that was actually iterated on quite a bit. I remember opening them up, closing them. In fact, you see the tops are actually open, so you can climb over, fly over them. So we still.
Yeah, this junk is getting his rocked, his shit rocked, man. Like,
but we didn't want to close it off entirely, so that one section was sort of everyone's favorite right away in playtesting.
oh my god, the way they switched to
and
on like that.
just the massive amount of iteration on it was great.
Right.
So we'll see it here.
That quality of life trains on Winston's bubble, it does not go unnoticed, by the way. The duration of the bubble remaining, being shown on the HUD is huge. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
I love that.
It's funny watching.
Sorry, I mean, I just love the curvature actually sort of. It actually reduces line of sight, right? So you cannot now just sit at one end of this sort of track and see the other if you're a sniper. So even that.
If you hit Tracer with Discordance and then she hits Rewind, does she still have it?
No, she gets rid of it.
Okay.
Because me and Cupcake are both support mains, I think something we're definitely going to be wanting to talk about here is that it's not just Zenyatta's HUD that's gotten a change, right? It seems like every
Got a diva switch.
looks a little bit different when it comes to the HUD and some of those abilities that interact with teammates.
Yeah, which like this, even the Zen placement of the orbs, it's so much better. Like more in the middle rather than having it on this side.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's really nice. I've noticed like the little changes with like having Mercy, like it shows when Mercy's healing somebody a lot more clearly, and I like having
as if we didn't cover that the first game.
Who it's
She wasn't there for that. It's okay. She probably wasn't watching the stream.
See more with, Ana, like I would love to see with Ana having it show like who she slept, like on the UI.
Oh, that's a cool idea. Yeah.
Like that would be so cool.
Yeah, because you should know who you put to sleep.
Exactly.
You just hit them.
If you got a fat ass roadhog,
the little Z's pop up on the screen.
When you don't know who it hit, like because there's so much going on, you're like, okay, I definitely.
No, I always know who I hit.
Yeah.
I don't just shoot it off willy nilly.
Yeah, the Zen thing makes sense, and the Mercy because it shows you how much health they have. You don't need to see someone being asleep.
See, when you're behind all 5 people, you're just clicking heal to try to, and then sometimes the Lucio jumps in front of you, like, oh no, I don't mean to heal Lucio.
If Mercy's healing or damage boosting you, right? Obviously, your screen sort of.
I completely forgot the robot was here.
Takes on like a sort of a very slight, non-intrusive glow.
That's a sleep
here,
bro.
You also changed how indicated that Mercy is.
This is wild.
Boosting you. Is that also the case with like?
Now you gotta go back. Look.
They working that bot.
He stopped.
He's tired, bro.
You tell me.
But in general, there's like
Wow.
Zarya flew
really across the team. I mean, you can see the skin passes, and those emails get sent out all the time. Like, oh, look at these cool skin changes and tech we're getting. And then there's also VFX updates. Look at the VFX changes we're making and sound, of course. So it's kind of just awesome being like, even if I'm not directly working on that stuff, just sort of seeing that stuff across my email and the examples being sent.
We got an echo switch.
Awesome, like day to day.
So Tracer went Soldier,
yes,
and Junk is Junk, and then who did they have on the other team? Ash. They had Ash, and she went Echo.
It was mentioned at BlizzCon Online as well that sort of the assault.
Ah man, Echo's gonna be a threat. I'm calling it now.
Yeah, bring up that double tank, bro.
I'd love to know what the sort of thought
it's gonna be crazy. Or triple healer.
And the addition of push here.
She already has 40% ult.
Right, so that has a long history actually. That's probably most of the people who really.
She jumped to 56 so fast. Oh my god!
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Assault map or TCP as it's called.
Oh, what a res!
And we've tried to.
And she's out of there.
In fact, what people might not know is we've gone through multiple.
She was spamming that. Did you hear that?
Like heavy all of it. But none of them ever really were
That's
good
dead
enough
Zen.
to
Ooh, Battle Mercy. I love it.
I always feel bad because one time I had a new designer join, and one of the first things we gave him was like, overhaul 2CP. What do you want to do? And it was like, the hardest problem ever. Go ahead and solve it, you guy. It was like, oh, that's kind of rough, actually, in retrospect. So, we've got went through a lot of changes, and it got to the point where we were like, we'd have to make so many changes to get this where we want it to be. Like, is it even the same mode anymore? And at that point, if we're getting to that degree, why don't we just make a different mode?
Yeah, let's make new.
Why even try to change it to that degree? So that's kind of how that ended up coming about. And
I like the slight pause when he reaches the point. It looks like Bastion, like buff Bastion.
I would say
it's his brother.
We are constantly experimenting with new modes.
The bot will be one of the new characters.
His little brother.
He'll have double Gatling guns.
Sorry, Dion, please.
Oh my god. He doesn't need to be in turret form. He just walks.
Yep.
I mean, it seems like so many possibilities for that kind of map, right?
And he can instant heal.
Right.
It's gonna be like Diva, just more damage and faster.
The shipping version actually changed, to try to fix 2CB even back when the game first came out. So
this poor robot.
The version we shared and the version that shipped with the game was pretty different from the choke point
Gotta
standpoint.
walk this man all the way back.
I wonder if you could use the robot as like a shield. Do bullets go through the robot?
Yeah.
That is a good question.
Yeah, because
He's a
like
very good.
you could just hide behind
I'm just
him.
gonna comment on it 'cause
He could just be a second tank.
But
Yeah.
the thing I was mentioning about this map is I mentioned the two
Oh,
they
look
got
at
a
that.
diva.
area we just left.
There's a second
Speaking of
tank.
second tank, oh, she got mowed the fuck down.
Soldier wasn't having that.
Yeah, he was not having any. Yo, this soldier, whoever's been playing soldier, their aim is on point.
See it coming up here.
They did this one of the other games too. I think it was the second game. That Soldier was going ham.
It is a really interesting point to play. In fact, when we were first playing it, I remember we had our first feedback session where it was like, I don't know if I like this or not. It's either
I wonder
it's terrible.
on the opposing team if it tells you if Lucio is boosting heals or
and so
speed.
we were like, I think that means we keep going with it, keep play testing it, and keep iterating.
It'd probably just be a color indicator,
So
just like
having a
in
big impact
Overwatch
is
1.
more important if you can get the good stuff of it. So after a lot of iteration, it's definitely persistent. It's become kind of
Oh, she panicked.
an
Oh,
interesting spot to play around because it's
she's gonna get anything with that. That was such a bad ult.
the flanks you can flank from.
Look at that, now she's getting rocked. That diva just lost that entire fight right there.
That's the road from the other game.
The diva?
Yeah, Speedy Rogue was Mr. Roadhog.
That was such a bad play.
Or something. So it's just like this. When you're going through that after playtesting this map enough and playing enough, when you're going under that pass, it's the most like anxiety-inducing spot. It's just like, especially when it's like calm.
Reaper looks like he doesn't do as much damage from afar.
Fight and you're going, there's no sounds. You're like, okay, what is about to happen here? Where are they going to be coming from? And it's like,
There's a sneaky little alley
Damn,
there,
Daniel.
too.
He did nothing.
No.
He did absolutely nothing for his team.
Reaper 76.
Deadly Kitten though.
So it's
Finding
like Gibraltar,
countless.
Making these
right? You go
plays.
through that first little
Facts.
underpass, and you just know it's a little too quiet.
I feel like this has to do with the movement speed increase. Because they just can't get away from Soldier fast enough.
Because he'll just close that gap real fast.
Yeah. It also means that he can retreat faster than everyone else. So even if he like you're jumping him, he could just back away faster than anything.
Ooh, Nano Reaper.
Oh yeah, I mean I think it's absolutely beautiful. I love all the like architecture and everything in it. I was fascinated when I was watching the preview during the BlizzCon line on it, and I would love to get in there and like just go explore it and look around and like
And now play the game.
like
And not play the game.
there's a lot to it. It's a
You did it to yourself, girl.
like,
It's a FPS, not a adventure.
but I'm sure
Congratulations.
if you get in there and
You
actually,
played
play it,
yourself.
It makes a lot more sense,
Even at 5v5, yeah, you definitely have the feeling of like franticness or heck.
I'm sorry, bitch got a whole game being played in front of her. All she's talking about is the architecture.
It feels like a game mode that's catered to like giving these like
She's not really paying
adrenaline
attention.
pumping moments of overtime, right?
Look at this soldier on just on the bridge, just fucking.
my moments.
Look at
What I
this.
love though is that these buildings don't just
Controlling so much of the fucking map.
the top right side.
Winston's getting sick of it.
All these buildings you can so many more of these nooks and
Look at he solo ulted the soldier.
He had to.
It's solo ulted the soldier.
cannot leave a stone unturned when you sort of
Wow.
Soldier won it for them, bro. Deadly Kitten.
GG soldier. GG deadly kitten. Because
some gameplay.
my god.
A beautiful map and my god, yeah.
Overwatch 2 maps. have
Oh, they do
features
this so
in them
that you
we-
can
that we haven't
they can
built
load up in the
before.
game.
Everyone just got to look at Rome, and we have that sort of
Which tells me this isn't running
sort of
on a PS5, 'cause that
switchback
shit would've
section
loaded
in it,
up
or like the
instantaneously.
loop section, and that was something we tried 3 or 4 times over the entire course of Overwatch development, and we're just never able to get it to work right. And on Rome, we feel like we finally cracked the code on.
He's like
something
Jeff
that.
Kaplan never got to
in
get
Monte
it work
Carlo,
right.
there
But
is
us,
this really cool
we did.
uphill section in the map, and it's steeper and longer. Than
It is
anything
odd
we've
that
done
Jeff
before.
Kaplan leaves and then all of a sudden
And
now we're getting
so
Overwatch
there's
2
a
stuff.
lot of like difference in elevation.
And so out of
there.
nowhere.
And I feel like
I'm telling you, it's all creative
it kind of
differences.
just
And now
speaks
that
to,
they
some of the
kicked out
changes that we're
all
willing
the
to make,
original members of
with
Blizzard,
this
they're like,
game
bet
in order to,
this
to
is our
introduce
game
new
now. We're
gameplay
fucking pushing
and
our
to have
agenda.
it feel fresh and vibrant.
And we still have yet to
Yeah, I
see if
definitely
it's
think we
better.
can start off that final map. We can keep this discussion going because
That's
Like, it
the
looks
scariest
good.
part.
the first things that I noticed.
The game
about
looks
this
amazing,
map
I'm not
was
gonna
like,
lie. Like,
oh, like we're going
this
we're
looks
going
really
straight.
good.
I was like, oh, this feels like very like classic Overwatch, like here's the choke, and then all of a
They
sudden
also said
game
it's gonna be weather
like,
effects, right?
I
Yeah.
can't remember a map, maybe even
This
think
game
people,
should be
when they
out-
see
should have been
how
out this
compared
year.
to, like, I know Eichenwald when you're kind of going around the castle, but it's
Because
even
when we
steeper than
first
that.
saw this game, that
Like,
shit was in
I
2019.
remember, you're looking at it and you're like, oh man, how are they getting up there? Like, it's such a cool dynamic.
Really, you think like 1
Yeah,
to 2 years
definitely.
would have been enough?
And
time?
Eichenwald's
Yeah,
a great
definitely think should
example
have
of
been
it,
enough time.
of
Especially since you're not
rising
making
through
a new
map,
game.
But this one,
But they're
you're
using a
kind
different
of-
engine,
a
so it's not
large
like they can
structure
just.
in the middle of it. So
Well,
you're,
I don't know
you're
if they
going
could
up this
import
really big
all their
elevation.
own
RE
assets.
is
It's all
using a
open.
different fucking engine.
And so there's a lot more
They
interplay
bumping out
between
games
the
like
two
nothing,
teams as
like
they're trying to
water.
push up,
Yeah, but
up the hill.
they've already put out
And
like
I
like
love
6
the
games on that
spawn
engine.
rooms, with the cars.
Yeah, and Call of Duty
everything.
uses a
It's just
different
so
engine almost every
cool as,
fucking year.
Yeah, you
But it's
just
different
kinda
though because
see
they have
both of these
3
teams,
3 different studios, right? That
come
pump out
spawn
games
a lot of detail.
yeah,
I love leaning
periodically.
into the F1,
Yeah,
when
and they're
you
also
have,
the
like,
same
kind of
studio
car
who
going
bumps
around
out
the
fucking
track,
Overwatch.
even
Not the same studio
checkpoints
exactly,
is
but the
being,
same,
kinda like your
overall.
your kind of checkpoint how they would be in like a race.
Fucking Activision.
You see this. So this first point is really interesting. I think for a lot of people is where we'll see Zarya on defense.
Let's be
like
real.
a solo tank.
I didn't know it was a different
Like,
engine
you
until they
can-
said
you
it.
can play so
Yeah.
many ways, right? I've seen people play like really close up by like some of these staircases, a little bit further back. You
Yeah,
can
because
play
even when they
snipers
interact
up
with
on
the
bridge,
environment, it
you
looks
can
exactly
play,
the same.
Soldier up on the bridge. I think just adds
when they
so
were
much more
breaking the barrier?
dynamics to play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you
definitely.
can see the payload is another. We're having fun with the payload here. It's a AI-driven.
So this is
F1
straight payload.
car race.
Car race.
And creating the escort maps, how does that different from some of the other things you guys?
Is this gonna hit the car?
Like
No, it
push,
goes around it.
Like,
Can you shoot through the
high-res
car?
Controls, like, is there a different type of
Doesn't look
philosophy
that way.
going into Star like a map, for escort versus some of those other modes?
Why are the doors up
Yeah,
there?
there's a lot of differences between these types of modes, and
I don't
when
know,
you-
maybe that
when
person
you
just
do map
abandoned their
design
car.
on Overwatch. Like, one of the things you always have to think about is where the spawn rooms are going to be and how you're going to get out of the spawn rooms. And obviously, it's different coming out of a spawn room.
So
is
far, it's not
different
gonna be able
on
to
the
push
map
tanks
than
back
any
that
of our
far
other map
either.
types,
Nope.
because you immediately start interacting with the objective. One of the toughest things about developing.
But I
payload
think they
maps
said they
for Overwatch
adjusted
is
her
the
fuel gauge and how
entire
much she
route
uses
needs
so
to
she can
be
stay in the
like
air
a
longer.
certain minimum width, just to be able to get the payload to fit through it. And
So
usually
you're
you
more
have
gonna be
enough
using it like how she
space
just used it to
on the
fly
sides of it so that
more,
you can move
not to
around.
boot people.
We do have a few tight sections in our maps, but they're very short. Like right after you get.
She
the
got
payload,
lit the
you
fuck
roll it
up.
tight.
Soldier boy.
For a short period of time. And so
She died
when
so
you do
fast.
Start making these wider areas.
Oh,
it
Deadly
becomes
Kitten
very
is
difficult
Ash.
to control
How come they're not
sight
showing
lines,
her?
and it
Come on, let me
gets-
see the Deadly
It
Kitten.
gets easy to make very long sight lines through the map where it no longer really feels like an Overwatch map.
You just see the two Zarya
Because
beams
we
like
really
kind of
try to
just
control
flying
it.
around.
I think it's why you see that a lot of the payload maps they do weave back and forth a lot, and so much of that is about controlling sight lines and then also presenting like difficult areas for a team to push through. Oh, this is the hilly section.
There's so many different
so I was gonna
paths.
say that's the area of verticality where, like, there's a sniper perch up here. It's kind of like that, right hand side if we're looking at it. But yeah, just this poses so many different obstacles for teams. But I also think it's
That far, every time she
presents
flies up in the air, it's over
ways
for
to play where. You see right now. both
Yeah,
teams playing
Baptiste,
Zarya,
Soldier already got ult.
Soldier,
fast,
and
kinda dive up
Widow.
on the high ground. Like, you can play
They gotta
really
switch
slow,
out.
kinda work your way
The whole team
around.
got ult, but
But,
Baptiste.
this team is just actually kind of just rolling on through. Zarya seems to be the tank choice of the day.
Yeah,
There was no point.
And you
like I
can
said, that
see,
change is pretty new.
you can see from a visual standpoint.
Yikes.
When making a payload map, they're pretty large maps for an Overwatch.
Wow,
stage.
the
So we
Zarya
want the visuals to kind of change as
Nasty.
complete objectives.
Yeah.
Nasty.
The world looks different to them. You know, it was
It's just
flat
the
before,
Ash.
and then you reach
Then
the
She was
hill,
getting-
and now you're on the hill. And
Oh,
then
she gonna get
for the
clipped?
final
Does she know?
objective.
Does
So
she know
there's
she's
this
there?
visual
She
progression
does.
To kind of your completing
Wow.
objectives. You feel like you're making progress through the map because the world around you is somewhat changing.
She waiting. Look at her.
Like Dorado almost. Like if you were to kind of think of a map from a live game where you kind of start through that choke area. Goes
This
to
is
the
when we
high
get canceled
ground,
because
and then you
Deadly
have
Kitten
that
actually identifies as he or
the
they them.
interior for this map.
I'm sorry, I had
is one
to.
of the
Oh my
cooler
God.
Things that I've seen in Overwatch, and
Yeah, here
hopefully
assuming
we'll get to
genders.
see it, but
Did I say she?
just the
Yeah, we both did.
Well,
how
they're
it's
also
gonna
playing
work
Ashe,
is that,
so
when we can go inside, we'll obviously
You're
have
right.
a better view of it, but it's really kind of like this.
You was right.
multi-tiered
Yo, that fucking Farah can't do
kind of,
anything.
casino.
She needs to
So
switch.
interesting.
'cause
yeah, I don't know why she hasn't switched already.
Yeah, it's a super cool space and really fun to fight through. I think, you know,
Well, I got
over
rezzed.
time,
To be
Overwatch
alone
map design
and
has
die.
changed
You gotta
a
fly
little
up and
bit.
die.
Just the way
Wait.
The game has changed a little bit. The presence,
They're not even flying
or
up.
the importance of high ground
They know not
can't
to.
be understated in this game. And so
Lumpy.
we're trying to give more of that to teams.
Oh, yep, the change.
And we're trying to create kind of like conflict points.
So,
in some of
wasted
these maps
res,
and
basically, that's
who's
what you're
going
telling
to
me.
control
Yep,
that high ground.
and they
That
had
means-
I think 75% alt.
That means they're not
Obviously,
communicating
it's a
at all,
shooter,
because
right?
that was fucking
is
stupid.
always kind of the go-to, where Overwatch has always had the ability for multiple players.
Yo, that
to
soldier
high ground,
disappeared.
either
Like,
Hunt
that soldier was gone.
or Widow, but yeah, with like a multi-tiered level like this, it allows everybody to kind of have some access of high ground.
Soldier already got ult
which
again.
Brings into play, I know, Ana
Frosty
really kind of
feet.
effective here at the high ground with the grenades as we see the payload kind of go over the line, and the car will go inside of the casino. I've seen a few cars inside of casinos in my day. They're usually not moving though. I think depending on how the day went, maybe they're moving, but that's just from my point of view.
This is the
What were you saying,
hotel
Dion?
portion of
Got
the casino.
3 snipers on the
luxury
team.
Yeah, and you can
casino.
see the high ground in the back over there. It's actually really difficult for
Quite
us to put a lot
interesting.
of it into our game. One of the things we do in Overwatch is our stairs
Why'd she
are
shoot at
very
the wall?
shallow. And
I have
we
no
don't
clue.
typically have any steep ramps in the entire game. And I think the game plays better that way. It
Interesting.
feels smoother.
The
like
Lucio's
that.
just healing back the
Um,
damage that
but it
that
makes
he's
it
taking.
so hard. It just kills the level designers on the project trying to get people up to high ground because it takes a lot of space in order to do it.
Oh, yeah,
Is he walking on water?
I thought there was gonna be like a deep pool that he was gonna like run.
Yeah.
Kind of a notice of when you the stairs aren't very like these like long like
Jesus
kind
76.
of turns to get to that elevation. Is that just to keep everything smooth and just kind of movement predictable?
Yo, that
Yep,
Bob
so
fucking.
that's part of it.
Wow.
Movement predictable,
The save.
Wow, the Bob was on the
it's
trap
also,
and
like,
the
it can be,
ball.
really like kind of difficult to
Damn,
overcome
Zen
bad
Ui.
Bob
steep
all.
staircase. It's almost like a wall in front of you. You don't know what's going to be at the top.
Dilly
of
King
it.
is much
And
better
so
as Soldier.
We always like for players to be able to run through our maps and to be able to look at a space and kind of develop a mental 3D
they
image
need to
of
switch
where
out of
everything's going-
Ash.
of what the space is actually going
Ash
to be
isn't doing
like
anything for their team right
outside of
now.
your view.
Bob didn't
It's
do
easier
anything
to
at
do
all.
that with shallower
Yeah, their
stairs. It's
DPS is
also
having a lot of
easier to
problems
push
right
up
now.
a shallower staircase and a higher
Pharah
staircase.
switch.
And like lastly, just the way that a lot
Why?
of
They
game
saw that the
character
Pharah wasn't
physics
working
work.
before.
No,
And now they
that
have
was on
a
the other
Smoother
team.
to move on steep staircases or on shallow staircases.
No, it's the attack that had the Pharah before. It was Lumpy who was
Oh, was
Pharah.
it?
Yeah, and he switched to they switched to Hanzo.
On the first point where you're kind of going up towards the balcony,
Yeah.
and that does kind of prove like some of the things
Del
we're
Rez.
talking about where. I know we've all been there where a Junkrat is sitting on top of the stairs with Horizon. You can't see where he's shooting you from, and you're just kind of getting pelted on the way up. It's not the best of feelings, you know?
Just wasting time at that point.
Yeah. I don't really know what to say about that besides.
Oh, what an ult.
Poor Zen.
Okay, keep the combat moving. I love,
Push
I
them
love this.
way
Like,
up
you see
into
where
the
that soldier's
lines.
sitting up top. Like,
But it actually helped
One of the
them.
cool things about this map that I definitely saw when watching it was that like.
Yeah, I
the
think what you said
attackers can
before is
actually, like,
right that they're
access
not
that
communicating.
area. Like you can go around where we
Everything's
see
connected up there.
yeah, curly mustache rotating around, and it's connected.
Ooh,
That's something
Zarya
we
hit it with the
really saw
bubble.
about Overwatch.
Yeah, saved
we
her.
try to. We're very intentional with the way we do flanking routes, and we
And the
we try
Pharah's
to make it
flanking.
so that at least one
She
team,
know.
Like, the team can be aware of people.
Yo,
that are
she
coming on
died!
the
Oh my god! The ult.
Instant.
And we usually don't try to let you get all the way around behind the defense without having some way of knowing that it's coming or having the offense earning something like that. And we think this one's fair. We've gone back and forth on this a lot.
I wonder if these are just randoms that they got to play or like streamers.
but hopefully this one's fair.
Or devs.
Depending on
Are
how
they
your
devs?
game goes, it's fair.
They're
or not.
probably game testers.
This is why they're not like as
I
super
actually have
efficient
some
and
questions
communicative.
from Twitter that you know, some people.
But if I'm not mistaken, for at least
pulling
2 or 3
and just
games,
kind
the
of,
teams have been
just really, I think
consistent.
things
I
that
can't
people are
remember who's on
interested
the first.
They're all
game.
the same.
Guys,
Yeah,
what changed
all 4
to,
games, all 5 games. They've been the
character
same people.
buff or nerf
But I'm talking about they've been on the same
that you
team.
guys have played
Yeah,
around,
yeah.
implemented
Okay.
thus far.
Wow, I mean that's a
Speed Rogue
it's
There's
a
a
great
lot.
has
question,
not given
you
us
know,
the
to
Roadhog
ask
again. I wonder why.
yesterday, but I think now that we've gone over a lot of what we've been working on, there's so many changes to characters all across the board, including all the big changes to the tank role, the hero passives that were introduced.
Zen has been in like
with
every
all
single
the other
game.
roles in the game, so
It seems like
as
Zen's gonna
well
be doing
as,
more
like,
because he
some of
doesn't
the work
have
that we've
that
been
extra
doing,
tank to be healing.
with like CC abilities in the game, so it's really hard to pick one of those.
They both have
My personal
Torbs.
one is actually the one that we saw from Blizzard.
This is the first time we're
Mine
seeing
does
Torb
the
actually,
Reinhardt
like,
stuff.
Yeah,
As somebody
highlighted,
who's
'cause that one
always
time we saw
wanted to
Torb,
play
it was only for a
Reinhardt,
few
was
seconds.
Pretty tragic at it. Being able to
See what
be a
this
little
maid
bit more-
does.
this is like so-
Yeah, I'm
being
very
able to be a
interested in
little
the
bit
May.
more brawly and more offensive is the type of Reinhardt
Playing pirate ship?
I want on when I just charge in without talking to any of my teammates. Currently, it doesn't work. I'm sure that
Now you can do that.
I'm sure that won't work in Overwatch 2 either, but I can at least put it in my mind that it could be a possibility. Yeah.
That diva was like, "What's good?"
Promise of Reinhardt,
Yeah.
version of Overwatch.
Wow, May
That
blocked them.
moment where you get to drop the
So,
shield,
team
go
sabotage.
in and just start laying waste to people. Feels so good.
The May wants to help him get rid of the
You
diva, but
play
they
Reinhardt
can't
and
work it out.
You come out and you feed a few times, you're like, maybe this isn't for me, and then you just land that.
Why
one
did he turn
shot,
around though?
That perfect
Yeah, for that
shot.
one Ash. You
Yeah.
telling me the May and the Mercy couldn't take care of that?
It's such a good ability. Here's another one.
I mean, they got the
from,
pick, so.
Twitter. How do you
Yep,
guys
they got the
look at
picks.
maintaining the balance?
I guess.
between PvP and PvE?
That Ana
I
was
assume they're kept, like,
way too
completely
far
separate,
up.
like, different
I don't know why
environments.
she was standing in
How
front
do
of
you guys-
Ryan.
How do you guys look at that?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question because we.
I thought the Ash was gonna get clipped by the fire strike.
Bad Ash Dynamite.
Winston
It was good for a minute.
Super fun in PvP, but a lot of his enjoyment comes from.
Oh, this is dead diva. This is dead diva.
How much you're willing to
Is
pay
it?
and
Is
how
it though?
it's risky in your
That
play.
had
That
to have been a
movement
dead
speed,
diva.
bro. That movement
There's no
speed.
way that diva should have lived. She dead now.
He wasted all for it though.
It's hard to translate that to PvE environment, for example. So that
That's
in our
mercy.
early playtest of PvE was sort of like,
Come on, really?
it feels like he needs more, and then we
He
started
wanted to
getting
kill her
into,
with
like,
Fire Strike.
okay,
He
well,
could have just went up
maybe
to her and
let's talk about
smacked
if
her
we're gonna
once.
Keep these separate, or are we just making changes to the base hero?
That was a
So
bad
lot of
bobble.
like for instance, the current Winston alternate fire he has, where he can shoot that blast, actually came from PvE first. We were just like,
that's
oh, this is a lot more.
There was
fun.
no one
Like,
there for her
I
to
wonder if
be
this could
popping
apply
Bob
to
like
the base
that.
kit. Plus, we're doing all the other changes of PvP, and so we started playing with it in PvP. So
Torb
that's
is definitely
just
trying to
like-
build
it feels
ult
like it
right
works,
now.
and we're like enjoying playing it. Yeah, we'll totally take it. But I think our general philosophy is try to keep them separate, just so we can make sure
You
that
got
they
it.
shine really great in both individual game or all the game modes really.
Yeah, and this
I
might
did.
be.
I have to mention one thing really quick because it's kind of fun. I did.
There's like
early on, I
5
just
different
had
entry
this-
points in this
this,
one little space.
I did a prototype of like a PvP mode, I called it, which was like a hybrid
Fire
mode.
and ice.
'Cause
I
think,
like it.
I get the expectation that people will probably ask about that pretty quick if we want to do
It
that.
didn't
So
work.
Let's just try it.
It did
try
not.
A little bit. And it was a little dirty because it was like there wasn't a lot of balancing done. It was just like, oh, let's just throw all the crazy PvE stuff in here and see how they work against players. And it was pretty tragic, but it was pretty interesting. And like,
Spin
there's
it up
maybe a
and see what
version of that.
happens.
Yeah, exactly. There's maybe a version that we could do that at some point in the future, but we don't have like direct plans for that right now because it was one thing came out of it like this is fun, but like man, this would be a lot of work trying to balance this anywhere close to what it would have to be.
Mercy should be able to damage Torb
Yeah,
on
we
turrets.
do a lot of experimentation. Like
No,
that,
that'd be so
which
busted.
I think is one of the funnest parts about.
Would it
working on
really
this
though?
game. And
Yeah.
as they
How?
were playing
Explain
Rome,
how.
you know,
Explain
the
how that's
progression of,
different
okay,
from
we've
pocketing a
worked on,
Bastion.
Like, do you work on other game modes? And it is something
Because it's
that
not an
we
actual
do actually
character.
to push map or
So?
the push game mode came out of a whole different.
I'm not talking about heal. She shouldn't be able to heal it. She should be able
Yeah,
to
to
damage.
damage boost it. Because then now, well, in old Overwatch, it would have been 7 characters that you're fighting against. For you to damage boost it is crazy. Like, let's say like you have like an On, and then a Mercy, and then the Torb, or who's another, and maybe like a Bastion. If the Mercy is if the On nanos Bastion, and then Mercy is damage boosting the Torb turret, it's gonna be massive damage coming at you. Like no one's gonna be able to block that.
But the fact that she's number one, never nano a Bastion. Number 2, the turret can't be healed, and the turret dies in literally like 3 Reaper shots.
Torb can heal it.
Yeah, he has to go up to it and hit it to heal it.
I feel like that has been a huge.
I don't know. I feel like it's too much because it also auto tracks.
The April Fool stuff.
It'd be
But it also
way
has
too much.
like 100 health.
Is the health on it that low? I could have saw it a little bit more than that.
Yeah, that shit dies mad fast.
But a lot of some of that stuff is.
I don't know. I just feel like it'd be too much.
The turrets feel useless now. I feel like Torbjorn sucks.
So powerful. I mean, I feel like
Yeah, you really have to like set up in a way
in a sense to be like, 'cause you're
where like
always
no
just
one can like really get at the
I
turret.
don't know, maybe this is kind of cool. Could we just like show this to people and get their impressions?
But that's why they made him faster and they gave him that overclock shit, so that you don't have to rely on the turret so much.
If he can team comp turrets in some type of way with other people, like he would be so much more viable.
It's like really ridiculous. Where we're just like, here's a.
Granted, he shouldn't go back to the way he was when the game first came out. Because when the game first came out, Torbjorn was a fucking beast.
So it's.
He could put out multiple turrets.
We're still looking at ways to sort of.
No, but
I feel like at one point he was able to put out multiple of them.
No, he had to put out a level 1 and then you had to upgrade it to level 2. But he would. It would do so much fucking damage. And then when he ulted, the turret got strong too. And it was like level 3 turret. And that shit used to be like. That shit was crazy.
And you want that back with this Mercy damage boost?
No, but see, his turret went to like 300 health when he did that.
The Overwatch dev team, like, how has it been? Working from home. How large is the team?
If Mercy was able to buff it up, it would just only do the do.
So then, going by that logic, you should also be able to boost up the Symmetra turrets.
And when we first,
well, that's
when
different.
We first started,
Why?
we were really worried about
because that's hard. Like the hitbox on that's gonna be weird.
It's something we haven't really done before. And the team is amazing. And
it's like I should be able to put Baptiste thing over the turret, and it should affect its health the way it affects players.
We were before, and in some ways, we are more productive about certain things,
But
it's definitely
the Torb turret is affected by Baptiste's ult. When it shoots through it does more damage.
Yeah. It should, like I'm saying, if it does that with that, it should do it with anything else that has interaction.
I go on calls.
Then I feel like the same thing has to apply to Symmetra turrets.
Really grown.
But Symmetra turrets are disposable orbs. She gets it back almost instantly.
60 to 70 people. And the team is
the turret is an
continued to
actual
grow,
person. Like it
from
feels
there.
like an
I don't
actual
think
player,
we're
like an
at
actual player.
quite
It feels like Bob, right?
Yeah, you can damage boost Bob. Yeah.
Yeah, if you could do all this shit to Bob, why shouldn't you be able to do it on the turret?
Game than the original one.
It's even a bigger game than like even when I started to hear about.
I should also be able to put Zenyatta orbs, like Discord orbs, on the turret.
Just kind of hearing everything that goes.
Because you can nano Bob too.
Yeah.
You can heal him. Can you put like discordance on Bob?
Yeah. You can't put it on the Torb.
It's huge. But it's really exciting working on something that.
But Bob was also there for a limited time. It's like Bob will eventually go away after the turret just stays there.
But also Bob does mad damage and has mad health.
Yeah, but he still runs on a clock. Like he's not gonna sit there for like the entire. Like if no one destroys the turret, I mean if no one destroys Bob, it's not like he's gonna stand there and keep mowing you down. The turret will literally stay there until you destroy it, or Torb throws out another one.
But again, the turret has like 100 health. Like it shouldn't be that hard to kill a turret, unless you're playing on a good team. But nowadays, it's super easy to kill the turret anyway.
How much damage does the turret output?
From Overwatch 1 with the learnings from Overwatch 1, just evolution is, right?
I think that's also a factor.
The specifics, I don't know, but it can kill a tracer in maybe like 5 bullets, 5 shots.
So then, like, assuming the damage boosts it to make it 4 or 3 shots.
4 shots.
How would Tracer even get a chance to get in on it?
Because you have blinks.
They'll know who won and lost.
Okay, so who's another character that has low health?
You have blinks, and you can just have your shield tank go up to the turret to take the bullets, and your tracer goes around.
Showcase of the PvP side of the game today. You guys could just kind of give one.
But the turret tracks, so there's no way to actually guarantee that it's not going to change targets to the tracer.
Turret tracks the first thing it sees.
I guess I'd say
yeah. So, but once you go in front of the turret, like once you're further up,
so much for, like,
then
as long as the Ryan is the first thing it sees and it stays there, the Ryan is going to be targeted.
Present from our community ever since, even from before Overwatch came out. So
it's not the closest thing to it that it automatically changes targets to.
Thank you to,
no,
to
it's the
everyone
first
that's
thing.
watching and has been involved in our communities throughout the years. And I also want to let you know that we are still listening and we are still taking feedback on
Same with
game.
Genji. He has deflect,
more than anything,
and he has the side swipe to get out. He has double jumps.
Of itself, that it can be, and we're
Reaper has the wraith form.
to making it that.
But you're now having to waste waste abilities for this one turret, where there's still going to be 5 other characters coming at you.
Whether it's
the point of it, right? Especially now that you have 5 characters, is to make Tor consider it a 6th character, right? Even though the cooldown, like when you kill it, the cooldown's like mad long, it's like 20-second cooldown, I think, or 15.
I think it's 15.
Like the point is to have that viability. Torb doesn't feel viable if you could just be like dead turret.
I pretty much,
you know,
what Aaron said.
if I could like put on, if I'm like, oh, my turret's going down, I can't get to it to heal it, Baptiste should be able to throw out a disc to it, right, and keep the turret alive. And now they're focusing the turret, which now takes the focus off of the frontline people.
That comes across. Also to mention that obviously I think I've thrown it out a lot already, but this is all like pretty early work.
Because you can say that the same thing for why would you waste an ability on a fucking Genji who isn't gonna sit in the fucking
something like, you know, I see Doomfist running around
Baptiste thing,
you know, smash people
in vulnerability shield.
Somebody like, oh, Doomfist is still doing his, you know, stun combo kill, but like, you know, I suspect we'll be making a lot of changes to him, for example, especially if we do CC changes. So it's sort of like the double-edged sword of like being able to show you guys the stuff really early is, you know, some of it's not quite done yet, but I think it's been awesome to really, you know, try to keep communication up and letting you guys see what we're working on.
Yeah, and I echo the same thing. We have a pretty incredible team working on the game, the character team, world building, QA, production, concepting. It's quite a crew. We love playing the game every day, and we look forward to getting it into players' hands soon.
Yeah, no, obviously kind of, we're working with you guys on some of the stuff like this, and then some of the other members of the Overwatch team, like your guys' passion to just make this game the best is something that comes through in every conversation. So really excited to see what you
now
guys
the captain's
have,
gone
in store for the future of the game. Aaron, what's next? What can, you know, the community look for? I think you guys have an AMA going on.
Yep, we have one coming up in just a few days. It's going to be on the main Overwatch Reddit. Or subreddit, sorry. So tune into that, and I think it's the 3.
You probably didn't know what Reddit was until this.
Don't quote me on that.
He's signing up Dion for it. If it's not you guys, you just got signed up. I'll send the.
Aaron, let me know.
Yes, yeah, someone's gonna be there answering questions.
Yeah, we'll send the Outlook invites. No, we'll get everybody in here counting again, like we did this morning. No, nothing will be needed for that. But yeah, and then we have Overwatch League kicking off again tomorrow. We'll be discussing a lot of the.
Don't miss out
today here at 11:30 PT. And don't forget, guys, the Overwatch Anniversary event is going on right now in game. Some really awesome skins to earn. You can get that combat. The new Ana skin. By winning games.
I don't even know how many coins I have.
Constantly, eventually.
Not enough.
Way slower.
No, because I could get some skins that I missed out on last year because it's the anniversary.
Truly a blast.
I think there was a Mercy one that I missed out
Dion,
on.
That'll be it from us. Follow Play Overwatch on all social medias to stay up with
Dion's
all the
like,
latest
where's
news
Cupcake?
for Overwatch 2.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, that was That was the Overwatch stream. It was 2.5 hours.
Yeah, so much longer than anyone thought it was gonna be.
A lot of information. The most information we've gotten since 2019 when they announced this fucking game. I'm excited. It looks good.
It does.
I'm glad that the game is different. Like, that's what we need. We need a different game. But still the same, because obviously we love Overwatch. But yeah, this shit is yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in to us hanging out and talking about some of the stuff we saw here on the stream, and then kind of like arguing about our own wish balance changes and shit like that for the game.
The Metaverse hot takes on Overwatch.
Yeah, Metaverse hot takes on Overwatch. But remember, we suck at this game, so
I suck worse.